All right. Welcome to WitchLab Wednesday Live. Today is February 3rd, 2021. I'm your host, Tiffany Boggins. Today on the show, we have Amy Blackthorn, the incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly badass woman, author of, Sacred Smoke, Blackthorn's Botanical Magic, and then the newest one, Blackthorn's Botanical Brews. So she'll be on in just a little bit. Very excited to talk to her. So what's new? Well, it's Mercury retrograde, right? So difficulty in communication and, electronics going crazy and stuff like that. Perfect time to introduce a new point of sale system at the shop. Employees are like, what? Why now? Because chaos. That's why. But that's really exciting news because that means we get to do things like, have better inventory, better tracking, easier reports, and like VIP programs for our VIP shoppers, I know some of you should already qualify for that kind of stuff because of the amount that you're in, but now we can actually track customer spending in the store, which is really exciting for us. So, but yeah, Mercury in retrograde. So I've been doing some Mercury work to try to ease this transitional time. I always have this, but during this time, I actually put it front and center. Simple little Mercury symbol, little bit of dragon's blood ink, a little bit of parchment. Makes everything go so much smoother. Yesterday, I had many difficult conversations that I had to have, and that helped a lot, I think. So a little bit of Mercury, Mercury oil, draw yourself something, carve it into a candle. Anything like that is awesome. It helps. It's little things. Let's see. Yeah, for the good part of today, I spent fighting a barcode scanner program. Turns out I didn't even need it. So it's that kind of interesting communication that's been going on. Upcoming WitchLab stuff. I want to pour water and not on my mouse. So next week, we have Gwian and Phoenix, the authors of Life Ritualized. So we're going to be talking to them, and they'll be here to do a class with us. When is that? March 27th? Yeah, so Saturday, March 27th. And we'll be talking all about it next week. They're doing a DIY rites of passage, which is incredible, to highlight those parts of our lives where sometimes we don't even know that we need a celebration around that time. Celebration is something that helps us to understand, our own growth and to put markers of importance on our life. And I think that that's important, and we don't do it enough. They're going to teach us how to do it. So we've got March 6th, our guest tonight is teaching Hexy cocktails and magic potions. So, and we're going to be doing a mix along with Amy. So if you want to do that, the things are on witchlab.com. You can register there and get the ingredients list for the Corpse Reviver. I think that's what it's called. Pretty sure. Hoping that she's nodding. She's nodding. Yes. And let's see. Oh, and of course, you guys remember Lauren Davis from last week? Her Blood Magic class is going to be April 1st and April 8th, Blood Magic 101 and 102. And as her and I talked about it, evidently there's going to be a 103 as well, where you actually get to do the pokey stuff, or at least learn about the pokey stuff. All right. I think that's all the updates that I have. Let's talk to let's look at comments. Let's do that really quick, just before we bring Amy on. Christina, Rachel, Jean, Amy, Betty Ann. Betty Ann, you were in the shop the other day, and I completely forgot to give you this little prop gun that somebody gave me to give to you. So next time you're in, remind me, I've got a gun for you. Corey, Michelle. Somebody is calling me mom. I don't know. Could be. I don't know. Donna says my hair looks good. Thank you, Donna. Right? You guys saw I bleached it with the foil last night. And so I have this thing I'm calling the headband. That's my black stripe that I left. It's kind of funny. Oh, Bailey, thank you. Thank you. It's okay. So the color's not bad. It's hard for you guys to see in this light, but it's not the pink that it was. It's a little bit more red. So I'm still searching for that atomic pink. Anybody finds anything close to that? Because as we know, special effects discontinued my color. Those bitches. So I'm trying to find something that's close to that. This is a combination of 3 different colors. So I don't even know if I could match this again if I tried. But thank you, Tara. Thank you, James. It's not bad. Hey, Casey. Kim. All right. Rachel. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Okay. All right. So now that you're all here, now that we have an audience, let us bring out. She is the author of Blackthorn's Botanical Magic, Sacred Smoke, and the Botanical Brews. She's also the host of the Blackthorn Grove podcast. And here's a little known fact. Actually, all Chuck Norris jokes are about Amy Blackthorn. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Amy Blackthorn.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I don't have to hang out in the comments and make shitty comments.
What are you drinking?
Oh my God. This is a session mead from the Birmingham Meadery. They are local here. They're heathen owned and operated. But it's a...
Where's here? Where's local here?
Here in Delaware.
Okay.
I live all the way I live where the beach is. This is a Shirley Temple session mead. So it's maraschino cherry, ginger, and some lemon. Oh, it's beautiful.
But it is alcoholic, right?
Oh, yes. It's very much mead.
Can they call it a Shirley Temple? That seems like false advertising.
It's so much cherry.
I'll just have a Shirley Temple and then you're rocked.
So good.
I love that. So you live in Delaware?
I live in Delaware. I was born and raised in Maryland. I'm a Baltimore girl, and I moved just far enough into Delaware to have some better laws.
Is that where no sales tax is? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So growing up in New Jersey, I knew people who were like, I'm going to go buy this big thing, but I'm going to go to Delaware to do it.
Yep. I used to work in Christiana Mall, which is the destination mall for New York and New Jersey and parts of Pennsylvania and everywhere else, because it's one of the 3 largest malls in the country, and there's no sales tax.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never knew that about Delaware. But before I lived in Philly, and people were like, I'm going to buy a thing, and I'm like, why are you driving to Delaware? No sales tax. I am drinking 4 Roses small batch.
Yes, beautiful.
Yes, this actually dropped off for me by a friend of mine when I was in quarantine. She dropped it off at the shop. So thank you, Erica. Finally getting to drink this. And it's very yummy. Love it. My dog is barking right outside the window because I think she can hear me talking. So hopefully that stops. If not, I may have to leave you with the people and go take care of her. We'll see how it goes.
My pit bulls are downstairs in the living room in front of the fireplace, so I know where they are.
My pit bull is under the desk like a good girl. That crazy dog, she's a mutt, and she's got a lot of things. One of them is husky, which she's got that big deep bark. But she howls when the any siren goes by. She howls like a wolf, and it's my favorite thing.
I love it so much.
I know. Sometimes if we can get a high enough pitch and a couple of us can do it at the same time, we can get her to howl. But I know it's very cool. Yeah, Lupa is under here. She's as soon as I start the show, she's like, "Okay, I know where my place is." And to be fair, Maeve is only 10 months old. She's still learning how to be a good dog. She's a puppy.
Millie is maybe 16 months almost.
Oh.
So she's still learning how to dog.
Yeah, and it's hard because they get so big so fast. They look like adult dogs, but they don't act like them. They act like little crazy tiny puppies. Speaking of puppies, Mark Williams has 2 puppies that are amazing. He has an American Akita and a Siberian Husky, I believe, is what the other one is, and they are both adorable and little like fuzzballs. Well, I guess I haven't seen them in about a few weeks, so they're big. Those American Akitas get huge, right?
Oh, they do, yeah. Growing up, I had a a husky, and a Caucasian mountain dog. My father is 6'8", and Fred could put his paws on my father's shoulders.
Holy, your dad was 6'8"? How tall
I'm
are you?
6. I'm 6 feet.
Wow, big family then, right?
Oh yeah, his family's all German, and they're like 8 feet tall. My mother is 5'11", so I had no chance. I walked out of the womb at 6 feet.
Oh, that's so cute. So she's 5'11" and he's 6'8", so they scale. Right? That's awesome. So, all right. So I guess we should get into talking about stuff, like industry stuff. So just let's ease into it. So you write about fragrance and shaking my table. You write about fragrance and you write about burning things and you write about alcohol. You speak to me in a very personal way. Actually, when I picked up Sacred Smoke and the opening quote, since the day that I read it, it has been in my head every single morning. A day without fragrance is a day lost. It's an ancient Egyptian saying, is what you say in here. Every morning I've thought about it. This is so silly, but I put perfume on to do this show. I'm the only one here. But I smell good for me.
That's the thing. I post perfumes most days. I post whatever I'm wearing. I have a collection of probably 500 perfumes. And most of them are Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab perfumes. Today I am wearing John Barleycorn, so I smell like a bar fight, and it's amazing.
Notes of bar floor and bourbon.
Mud, blood, beer, and whiskey.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, basically, that'd be on the floor.
That would definitely be on the floor if we were hanging out.
So, okay, so what let's start with the old stuff. When did you figure out that witches were real?
It's the best story ever. So I had
Yay.
in my head, this has always been a thing forever and ever. But my parents, they sent us to Sunday school, not because they gave a crap about spiritual upbringing, but they wanted a place to sleep off the hangover. Like, go be somewhere we're not. So someone would come and pick us up and take us to church.
They didn't even go with you?
No.
That's so messed up.
Like, go be somewhere we're not.
Go suffer alone without us.
Bye. So we went, and it was always the thing where you think like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, I guess. Even though not even Easter and Christmas, nothing. Really. So I have 4 sisters, and we obviously shared bedroom because that's a lot of kids. So I shared my bedroom with my older sister Holly, who's 3 years older than I am. Both Virgos. I have a Leo moon. My sister Holly has a Scorpio moon. There was definitely some bloodshed.
Oof. Yeah. But how clean was your room though? You were both Virgos. Yeah, spotless,
on.
Right?
No doubt. You could hand waxing the floor. So
Thank you, Tara, for posting the Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. That's for anybody who was looking. That was the bottle that Amy was holding up. Yep.
So anybody who has younger siblings can tell you the fastest way to get them involved in your business is to tell them that they're not invited, to go away. So I was 11 and my older sister Holly was 14 and brought her best friend home, cuddling her book bag like it's a small baby and giggling and whispers. And they say, you gotta go. I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, that's the Holy Grail, and I am going to find out.
I'm pretty sure there's porn in there. There's porn in that bag. I'm going to find it.
So I listened to the door for a minute or two. So I go in search of treasures. I wait until dinner passes. Christine goes home. Everyone tucks in for the night. And I think my ass is the panther because I'm slithering off of the edge of the bed on the tippy toes, sliding, army crawling.
This is a cartoon, by the way, all the way. This is all a cartoon in my head.
slithering across the floor to the book bag. This is my goal. One tooth at a time, unzipping the loudest zipper you've ever heard. And I pull it out and I slither back across the floor and up into the bed. And I look, no flashlight. No. That gets you caught. I've got the lights from the gas station down the street are now lighting my way, and I find Wicca, A Guide for a Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham.
This is her porn? I mean, I get it. Okay.
I read it by the light of the gas station until I was done, crash out, and I spent the next 4 years going to the library every day after school and reading whatever I can find.
The Dark Forces fiction books. You know what I'm talking about.
Those really awful, the black cover, Sarah Lynn Morrison, the Witch's Spellbook 1, 2, and 3. They've got the ridiculous covers on them. Yeah.
I would read anything. If it had witch, magic, astral projection, anything weird in that section, like in the kids like fiction section, I would read all of it. There was no occult section in my library in New Jersey in whatever year that was. 80 something. So you read the whole thing and then that was it, huh? Like
was it. I was done for. Because this is back when Hot Topic still carried things like that. So I went down there to White Marsh. White Marsh is a little suburb of Baltimore, and I find the Hot Topic in there, and they have the book on the shelf. I'm buying it. Oh yeah.
Hot Topic had Wicca?
Oh yeah. They had witchy bumper stickers. They had books on Wicca. They had adorable goth clothing. It was fabulous.
I've seen that in there.
But it wasn't until somebody's parent said, "Oh my God, the devil," and then they stopped carrying things like that. But they did once upon a time.
I thought they liked to carry devil stuff. I'm confused now. It's like Satan is a hot topic. They're like obligated.
It's in the name,
right? It's in the name. Like you have to sell everything that's hot. Satan's totally hot. Okay.
I was just watching Lucifer. It's definitely a thing.
See, I'm saying Lucifer is. I like that show, but how many seasons are you in?
Oh, I've been watching since the day it started. I am caught up.
So you're caught up. I think I stopped around season 3 or 4, something like that.
3 was when it got canceled, and then 4 was when it came back with Netflix.
Okay, so maybe it was after it came back with Netflix. I only saw it on Netflix.
Right.
But I think he is hot as fuck. Oh my God. I never stopped liking his character, but some of the side characters started to piss me off. Yeah, like his head of security, who then went kind of crazy. I don't know.
Mazikeen.
Yeah, Mazikeen. I didn't like where she went, but I don't know. It's fine. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, maybe I'll go back. And there were things in that made me look up like biblical stuff. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, what? Who's his mother? That's the whole confusing thing. Lucifer has a mom. Okay. Because you don't hear about that stuff normally, but it turns out talking to people like Mark Williams and stuff, like no, there's definitely like the whole two sides of what is it? It's Yahweh, and then what's the other word? It starts with an E.
Elohim.
Thank you. Yeah, so like the female version, right? The female goddess, part of God, or he's a part of her. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
Gets a little messy.
It's a little messy. And yes, Welshmen are smoking hot. It's absolutely true. It's just, yeah, we have a lot of people here are like, yep. They do butt shots of.
Yeah, the minute they went to Netflix, it was all butts. I think it's written into his contract. He gets to show his ass at least once per episode.
Choose how he gets to be, because that's his creativity. He gets in there. Oh yeah. So after Netflix took over, it became interesting again. Okay. All right. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm trying to remember how many seasons I've seen. I think maybe 3. So maybe I need to go back to watching it, because they just got interesting again.
They're getting ready to release the second half of season 5, and we finally get God. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe I should go back then. I should probably build up for that. Amani says it's porn. It's porn. And I agree. Lickable porn. And Mark did say in Gnostic teachings, it's Sophia.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Okay, so Scott Cunningham was your first book. And then, so as we all know, witchcraft has a varied paths we can go. What made you choose to go towards herbs and oils and stuff like that?
I started that before I found my first book on witchcraft.
Really?
Yes.
So let's go back further.
I grew up in Baltimore, in Northeast Baltimore. It was, I had the playground in my elementary school was blacktop that was bricked in by a 30-foot high fence. So was
it also
yards.
a prison yard? That's crazy.
Like that's where they set the elementary school. It was not a very hospitable neighborhood.
No. Wow.
But I still love it with all my heart. But growing there, there's a little strip of bamboo in between our yard and the little alleyway. That was the most greenery I was exposed to as a kid, and I had nightmares about that.
You had nightmares about the bamboo?
Bad things lived in that bamboo. I am certain. So by the time we moved out to the suburbs,
Evil koalas.
Yes, koalas, they would eat you if they could. You don't know.
If that bamboo wasn't there, you'd be next.
So by the minute we had a yard and we had grass and we had plants, my mind was blown. I mean, we moved there in between second and third grade, and all of a sudden there was an azalea, just one lone azalea, grew up against the side of the house. And I thought this was the most magical shit I'd ever seen, because I remember walking by one day and there's these little pink flowers, and I brushed up against it and the flower falls out, and waiting in this beautiful little green cup is a seed. And so my mind is blown, because that was a flower, but now it's a seed. And it's like, holy shit. Like, you can make a whole plant out of this little tiny thing. This is a plant, but it's not a plant yet. It was for a third grader.
Fractals of understanding starts happening through your brain. You're like, oh my God, the world's expanding. Oh, yeah.
From this little tiny thing. So I was immediately entranced. I start doing favors and chores for the neighbors so I can get a handful of change. So I can ride my bike to the top of our street where there's the only grocery store in a half an hour's drive. Grawls. And I bought a little 6-pack of petunias, Petunia Dreams Midnight. I'll remember that till the day I die. Little black umbrellas of this beautiful scent. And I made my own window box. I said, if people can harness the powers of these plants, like, I'm going to figure this out. I was pollinating them with a little feather to try and create my own hybrids.
Oh my God. How old were you?
In the third, fourth grade.
Wow. It's cool, and it's inspiring. A third or fourth grader making their own window box because they want to harness the magic of plants. This is the best origin story ever.
Yes. So it's really gorgeous. It's really understanding how we interact with plants and how they affect us, because even just by observing them, we're affecting them. But how can they affect us? We think of ourselves as these big, ornate beings that are in charge of everything, mm-hmm. but you're being affected by a single flower. So how do we figure that out? And we take those pieces and we sort of put them together. And I wound up going to school for horticulture and having more advanced studies. I went back for a teaching year for the same program. I got to be the TA for the same program the year after. So I get to figure out all the tests, but I also get an entire greenhouse to myself to grow whatever I want.
Oh, wow.
It's like having an unlimited piggy bank. Or just like, go and pick out the things in the seed catalog that you want to grow and figure it out. So I built a hydroponic farm. I created different series of different herbs. I was in charge of this very elaborate hydroponic tomato system that was probably 20 feet long. And they were indeterminate growers, so they just kept growing.
Indeterminate growers. I like that word.
They're fantastic. They have no set point where they stop getting tall. So
Right.
every week we'd have to lean them and lower them. So you just get a giant spiral of tomatoes.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Beautiful.
One of my one of those movies I've watched 30 million times is a movie called Green Card. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's Andy McDowell and Gerard Depardieu.
Oh,
and
maybe that sounds familiar.
she gets a fake marriage to him so that she can have access to this apartment because it has a greenhouse in it. It has a greenhouse in the apartment that has a sprinkler system and everything, and it's and the whole, I've watched it so many times because of her love for this greenhouse. Like the first time she goes in it and she's just like stroking the plants and like when you turn on the sprinkler system, it looks like a rainforest in there, so she just sits outside it and watches it.
I love it.
You should watch it. It's beautiful. You could probably get it for like $2. And also what you were saying about us depending on plants. A long time ago, my sister gave me a book, and it turned out to be one of my favorite books of all time. It's Michael Pollan, and it's Botany of Desire. He follows. Have you read it?
No, I've heard wonderful things about it, but I haven't read it.
It's incredible. He follows different plants, and he documents over history, throughout history, how they've affected us and actually manipulated and seduced us into propagating them, into making them stronger. He talks about cannabis. He talks about the potato, apples, tulips, and just how they've manipulated us as people. Like they've used us through our sense of smell, through our need for food, through our enjoyment of cannabis, and our need for beauty, how it's given us things so that we've actually taken care of it as a plant. Fascinating. I think that's amazing. And I think that's like when you talk about, how we can learn from them and how we, get from them. I actually wrote it down when you were talking, so it reminded me of that book a lot. I highly suggest it.
Fantastic. So yeah, I came out of the broom closet to my mom and my stepdad when I was 15, and I angsted over this for months. Like I should say something, but there's all these horror stories about parents throwing out their children and giving conversion classes and all sorts of horrible things for being different. And so I angsted over it, and I sort of teased the water, like, oh, so what do you think about God? And what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I decide one day while she's cooking dinner, because her hands are busy, to say, okay, today's the day. And I go in the kitchen and I say, Mom.
How old are you?
15.
Okay.
I say, Mom, I'm a witch. And she says, oh, that's nice. Have you told your dad yet? No. So she says, go tell Johnny. And so he's out in the garden making a little trellis for some clematis. And I walk out and I puff myself up and I say, so Johnny, I'm a witch. And he says, oh, that's nice. I dated a witch in high school. How was your day? Like, it didn't even faze him at all.
Were you disappointed by that?
Yes, I got no thunder. I got nothing. I just sort of moved on.
No shock. No nothing. No follow-up questions?
Nope.
So funny. Okay, so you talked a lot about plants and things. When did you fall in love with oils? Because I want to talk to you about oils.
I was 16 and working my first job at a greenhouse. And Sunday mornings, the greenhouse would load up the van, load up the truck, and go to the farmer's market outside of the local hippie store. That was the first place I found a real display of essential oils. It's not just fragrances. It's not just this. It's the true spirit of the plant, like talking to me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, the plants that you don't have access to grow, the plants that don't grow they aren't in your zone, the plants that are outside your reach are all of a sudden right there in a little bottle.
In a little liquid form.
You can work with them, you can develop relationships with, and it's reasonably affordable if you stay within these set brands.
Yeah. Yeah. If you stay within certain things, or you're not trying to get the actual rose or or jasmine, things like that. Okay, so I've been working with oils for a long time, probably about 10 years or so. I love oils, and I consume all books on oils like crazy. And I'm about to I'm about to expose myself and admit something that is very embarrassing. And you may hate me for this, and that's okay.
Well, I am wearing jeans. These are not judgy pants. So
Okay. So here's the thing. When I knew I was interviewing you, I grabbed all three of your books, and I took two of them with me on vacation. I took The Sacred Smoke and I took The Botanical Brews, and I read both of them on vacation. And I figured I would read the Botanical Magic at some point before the interview. Here's where it gets really embarrassing, like really embarrassing. One of my employees today, one of my staff, Abigail, was like, "Yeah, I've been learning a lot. I'm really interested in oils, and I'm learning a lot from Amy's book." And I'm like, "Which book?" I thought your book was all about herbs, like just dry herbs, because I didn't read the actual cover like an idiot. And so because she had asked me if I had any books to recommend about oils. And so I'm in my office because I'm a perfumer. I'm like pulling all of these things and I'm showing her these things. And then she's like, "Well, I learned a lot from Amy's." And I'm like, which book had oils? Is there oils in her herb book? She's like, "No, it's a whole book about oils." And I'm like, she's like, "Aren't you interviewing her in like hours?" And I'm like, "Oh, give me the book and shut up. Just give me the book." And I'm like, what? So literally until 4:00 today, I didn't realize that you and I shared this love of oils like we do.
oh yeah, my office, my desk is set up like a perfumer's organ.
I have my desk at work. I have a standing desk, and above it are all of my. I have printer drawers, and then lots of and it's just everything. I have them, by head, heart, and base, and they're all. But they only fit in certain ones, so it's like I know exactly where each one is, but because of the size of the bottle, so they're not exactly alphabetized, but like they'll come in and be like, "Okay, we have to make this today," and I'm like, "Okay, that one is in the top right, that one's on the top left, that one's actually on my desk, that one's." You memorize where they all are.
Yep.
So
I'm a very visual person, so mine are all separated by brand and then alphabetical, because my brain can see the label. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't, so it's like, "Oh, hey, there's a 4-ounce bottle of benzoin in the top right-hand corner, I
know exactly where that is. I know exactly where, I know exactly where all of them are. And there's no rhyme or reason other than their note level. And so my employees are just like, "You're just gonna have to talk me through where to find everything," which is fine because I have it memorized. You're just sniffing bottles, aren't you?
I said benzoin, so I had to pick it up.
Okay, so let's geek out about oils for a little bit. Okay, if you could only have 4, I'm going with 4. If you could only have 4 to take with you somewhere, like to an island forever, like what 4 oils would you take?
Lemon balm.
Good one.
Benzoin.
Mm-hmm.
Beth Burial's Dragon's Blood, because it's the best dragon's blood on the history of dragons.
All right, we're going to talk about dragon's blood in a second.
Yes.
I have questions about that.
Frankincense.
That's good. That's good. I would have to take a flower. Mm-hmm. And I think it would probably be jasmine, just because it's so sexy dark.
Yeah.
Balsam. I like balsam a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And it's tough. I really fucking enjoy oak moss, but I know how dangerous it is for the skin. So, but it's still so sexy.
It is the sexiest oil of all the oils, in my opinion. It is one of my absolute favorite smells on this planet. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at my other side spell candle, and the first note is oak moss.
Oh, it's so lovely. God. And I don't know. Maybe frankincense for my fourth too, because it's just so good and it's so good for you. Like as far as like its antidepressive qualities, it's makes you feel like you're a little high.
Yeah, and there's just enough of a lingering essence of orange on the back of your tongue when you smell it that you get that sweet, like, oh, there's citrus somewhere nearby. You can pretend.
I'm adjacent to citrus somewhere. Yeah, so I started with the first book on oils that I picked up that really got me going was Mandy Aftel's Alchemy and Essences.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of started me down the perfuming road. And so like perfuming is actually what WitchLab was built on. And then I literally don't have time to make perfume anymore, which is the only reason we don't carry all of the scents that I make. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, but it's true. Like I actually have. I came out with my first line in 2013, maybe, and then and then my second line like a year after that, and then just been working on them, but. Yeah, just no time to actually sit down and put them all together. Because I'm doing things like fighting with stupid barcode label printers.
So when I was writing Blackthorn's Botanical Magic, I had to create every one of those materials.
Oh my god!
So I actually started using this as a divination tool.
Like, that box?
The box, because all the bottles are exactly the same. They all have handwritten little labels on them, and
so you just got it. I love that.
What is needed, and you can just pick out true faces. This is one of my favorite things. This is to discover someone's intentions, their motives. Like if you think they're trying to pull your leg, if they're a fibber, true faces.
What's that smell like?
Oh my god! Ah.
I want to smell it with you.
The first thing you notice is fennel.
Okay.
So there's fennel, lemongrass, and German chamomile.
Okay.
So it's herbal enough to be enjoyable, but it makes you stop and say, what is that thing that I'm noticing? Oh God, I love fennel.
I love lemongrass. I love lemongrass so much. We have a Van soap that that we developed that I use regularly in the shower because every morning it's just like it's the smell of vetiver and lemongrass.
Lemongrass built my tea shop.
Really?
Yes. So I've been in executive protection for 15 years.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that too. That's on the list. Wait, hold on.
Write that down.
I'm writing it down.
So I finished one contract. It was just ate my soul, and I needed a break. So I trained my replacement. I waved to the building, deuces, I'm out. My very first day as a joyfully unemployed person, I went down to the kitchen and I grabbed my giant cauldron, the one of those 2-inch by 8-inch pillar candles, and the biggest bottle of Van I had sitting right there. And I drag it over the kitchen counter, and I'm slathering this thing in oil and talking about trying to get rid of all the baggage of this last contract. There was lawsuits, and there was we can talk about, there was a stalker, there was like literal threats on my life. It was a bad place. So like, get rid of all this baggage.
Yeah.
So I'm lamenting, and I'm emoting and slathering and carving, and all this is happening.
Frantic magicking.
Yes, frenzied. So I stick it in the purple sand in my big cauldron. The Crayola play sand is no joke. Like, good stuff.
Good to know. Good to know.
So I light the lighter, and I'm getting ready to touch it to the wick, and the doorbell rang. And I think, this is the fastest magic I've ever worked in my entire life.
I didn't even have to light the fucking candle.
it's the mail lady. She's bringing me a package. I got to sign for it. And so I go back into the kitchen, and all I can smell is the lemongrass just washing over me. And I think, man, if I had a tea that smells like this oil does, like I could drink my meditation while I'm concentrating on the candle and just be a layered thing, and it's a whole ritual all in one. And the light bulb goes on over my head, little cartoon, sparklies in my eyes. And 2 weeks later, I had 15 oils, translated into tea blends. Next week will be 7 years later. So
happy anniversary.
Hooray!
That's wonderful.
7 years. And now I'm up to 87 teas, a line of spell candles, a line of ritual oils. All the oil recipes are in Blackthorn's Botanical Magic.
Yes, they are.
Have them for people who don't want to buy 37 things to make one oil.
And also, somebody was asking earlier, I just wanted to, where is this? Where can I buy them? So, okay, so you can buy them from WitchLab. That is a thing. I have goddamn almost everything. In varying levels, depending on price. And so if there's something you want, you can always call me, and I will get you a price on a dram or two, depending on how much you need. But also in the back of Botanical Magic, you have lists of suppliers too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so you can always buy the book. Just kidding. Buy the book and look it up. No, seriously, there's you can always just sneak into WitchLab and take a picture of the page.
I will tell you a secret. Open up to the back. It would technically be page 309 to where it says recipe index.
Hold on, I'm so old. I have to get really far away from the book. Okay. 309. Okay. Oh wait, that doesn't say recipe index. Yes, got you.
Oh yes, because I'm using the pre-edit copy. So
in here, there's no page numbers after 309. Okay.
So you see recipe index.
Got it. Right.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So when you look at the right-hand side where it tells you where to find these things. So if you're looking for coral bells, it's over in orange. If you're looking at the Big Bad Be Gone oil, it's in sandalwood. So you see the lists?
Yeah.
You now have a ready-made substitution list. So if you need an emotional well-being oil and you ran out of cardamom, you could use this, you could use that. And they're all listed right there on the page.
Oh, you're absolutely right. So you have them listed by intention or by work, much like Cunningham's herbal encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can just look in the back and be like, oh, I need something for money or something for courage, that's God damn, that's smart. I love that.
Double Virgo.
There are some that are so amazing. What was the one? Oh, you have one that starts with "This is Sparta."
Yes. That's oh my God. I laughed at that so hard just writing it. Battle hexes. It came out great. I smelled it and I yelled in my office because it's just me. So I'm yelling at the ceiling, "This is Sparta." I knew it had to be in the book.
Yeah, it definitely made me giggle. I loved it. Oh God. I'm so thankful that again that Abigail told me that it's a fucking oil book. Oh my God. So yeah, I feel dumb. I feel dumb, but so happy that I figured it out before now. Because again, I just want to talk about oils with you. Like, I just love mixing things. Getting the notes right, but also getting the magical intentions right. Because the whole point of perfume is to be magical anyway. But then if we can tip the scales with
Absolutely.
using all natural essential oils where they actually have magical properties. Oh, yeah. And Abigail is laughing her ass off at me, and she should be. Again, she saved my ass today. Thank you, Abigail. Perfume classes. Perfume classes are actually something that I've taught before once in a while. I haven't done them in a long time, but man, I love teaching them. Oh, it's so fun. And I geek out about like where oils come from and what they do. One of my favorites, labdanum, comes from the cistus bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things where it is it's the first thing to grow back after a forest fire, because it actually takes the fire to crack their seeds. So cool. And you think about that in a magical application, like its actual properties in nature, and then you put that into something, the strength of that, the rebuilding nature. Oh, I love labdanum.
I will tell you, I mix it with oil from the jack pine, which does the same thing. The pine cones are so hard that they don't release their seeds until they've been exposed to fire. And so there's a renewal perfume that I've done. It's not in the book.
It's not in the book. Secret. Jack pine. I just got 2 different kind of pine oils. I just ordered 2 new ones, and I don't know what they are. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll have to look that up. Oh, let's talk about dragon's blood real quick. Yes. So, what is dragon's blood oil? Because so is it actually the distillation of the resin?
Yes. And because it's a resin, they have to use an alcohol distillate because it's so hard and gummy. So they extract all this beautiful stuff. There's this really lovely, if I could find it on my office, there's a really tiny bottled company. It was called Carradwin's Magical Oils, and the bottles are not even probably a quarter of a dram. Okay. But they had this bright red, beautiful dragon's blood that is spectacular. And since it's not available anymore, the Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab dragon's blood is one of my absolute favorites.
Marcus says squeeze the dragon.
Yes. You have to get really close.
Press it down. Put a cup under it.
So you have the Dracaena Draco. There's actually one in Longwood Gardens here on the East Coast, and it's actually in Pennsylvania, in Westchester, close area. It's really lovely. So the dragon tree looks like a giant sawtooth palm. It looks dangerous, and it is. Those leaves will cut you. They are gorgeous, but the sap that runs through it, instead of, we're familiar with pines that have this golden amber sap that sort of drizzles out of it. If you nick it, if a leaf rips off, it looks like the tree is bleeding all over its scales from the palm fronds. So that beautiful red resin actually just sort of drips out and dries, and it looks like red chalk that fabulous purveyors like you sell. But yes, it's a really nice distilled resin, and it has this musky cherry smoke scent to it when it burns that it just makes the hair on my arm stand up.
I have never been able to find it where it's actually distilled. All I can find is like dragon's blood resin that's been, infused in oil, which is not the same thing.
No, and it usually smells awful.
Yeah, it doesn't smell like anything, really. It just smells like the carrier. Like, it doesn't really take on any scent. But I'm tempted to get a distiller set just to fucking distill dragon's blood, because I've never smelled it as a distilled essential oil. Oh. So and I've had people ask me for it for years, and I'm like, I could make you some, but it's not going to smell like anything. It smells like you have to squeeze a dragon. I guess I could do that. That's another option.
I tried that as a teenager. I really wanted a good dragon's blood resin incense in a stick that I could burn a little bit more effectively. And so I tried that. I infused it and I did the thing, and it just smelled like rancid oil by the time the sticks were done drying.
Yeah, that can be tricky. Yeah, we have dragon's blood, and I love working with it. We put it in some of our magical oils and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to find some that's distilled. And you said that Carradwin's place doesn't even do it anymore.
No, the closest one I've found where you can see the dragon's blood in the bottle is Sun's Eye.
Okay.
I keep a bottle in practically every room and every bag, and I keep some in my car, but you can see the crumbled dragon's blood in the bottom of the bottle. When you shake it up, you can apply it. And then that's the closest I've found on commercially available.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's what I make. It doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't smell the same way.
No.
Yeah, because when you get, because frankincense is a distillation of the resin, right?
Mhm.
Myrrh is a distillation of the resin. Yeah. So, and I
Copal.
thought dragon's blood was, what's that? Copal.
Copal.
Yeah. And I figured dragon's blood was the same, but I've never seen it anywhere. So thank you for confirming my beliefs on that. Okay, so let's talk about your background in security. You have a gun collection. You're a badass, like and that's what you did before actually diving into having a career in magic. You were very much, magic is that like swirling flow of energy, whereas before that you were like security, like squared things, right? Squared
Yes.
energy, very secure energy.
Yes.
Foundations.
It's funny because, I joined the minute I turned 18, I ran out and joined the first coven I could find. Never do that. For those of you playing the home game, don't do that.
That's your advice for witchlings.
When I teach classes now, it's like think of it like dating. Like, don't just marry the first person you meet. Date around a bit.
Covens are hard to find, though. I mean, even in magically rich places, it's still hard to find people who are willing to teach and are trustworthy to teach you, right?
Yes.
Like it's so fucking hard to find that. They have to be willing to teach you, not for corruptible reasons, and have the time to do it, the dedication to do it, because taking on a coven and students and witchlings, it's such an undertaking, right?
Yes. And my first high priestess was a Leo with a Taurus moon. So ritual theater was her middle name. We were part of a tradition. And so every August we would get together for, the entire tradition would go camping in the woods in Harrisburg. And
like
so
retreat.
There's 500 witches camping in the woods at a state park.
Shit.
Oh yeah. So we took over a third of the state park there. There was a little loop, like we had the edge of this loop. We'd take over this whole end. You'd see little station wagons got lost. They're making the loop. Little kids smooshed up against the back window going, okay, there's 500 people in black dresses and deer skins. What exactly is going on here?
Or naked.
That's for nighttime. So yeah,
as long as station wagons didn't get lost at night, they were fine.
Exactly.
Butts.
I did see that notebook. So it could only be my life on the weekends and at night. And so being in security, you get to learn the neatest things. Like I'm writing Blackthorn's Protection Magic, A Witch's Guide to Self-Defense.
Yes, that's right. I saw that. It's very exciting.
So the chapter I just wrote, I teach you how to escape duct tape, how to escape rope, how to get out of zip ties, how to pick handcuffs, how to disappear, how to lose a stalker, how to, do all these other things. And sadly, it's necessary. I mean,
but these are mundane things. It's not like you're teaching someone an incantation on how to get out of duct tape. You're teaching someone like real life skills, as in
yes.
okay, so real quick, just give us a little teaser, because who knows who might need this tomorrow. How do you get out of duct tape?
Super duper easy. So one of the biggest problems with duct tape is people think that it's strong. So when someone duct tapes them and they're tied up, they think, okay, this is it, and they die. So teaching this to someone can literally save lives.
We need to,
because when you're duct taped, your hands are duct taped together, you want to do this, and that doesn't really do anything. It feels like it stretches the tape a little bit, but you're not getting out that way. It's not how it happens. What happens is you get to bring that up over your head and slam it down over your hips as hard and fast as you can, because it creates the same angle that you use to tear the duct tape. Perfect.
Like, bang. Right?
Yes. Your elbows come out and it tears it right off. So I've been a firearms instructor for 11 years. So okay. I would go and teach classes, and I'd get a a fabulous volunteer who wants to get tied up. I do.
Literally everybody in this audience is like, what? Right here.
But it's so empowering to be able to tell someone, this is the magic that we're doing, but here is the real world things that you can do to also protect yourself. I've been out of the broom closet. I've been a public witch since the late 90s. And there have been some dangerous situations that have been the direct result of being a witch. I've been driven off the road into oncoming traffic. I had a man show up at my door with a claw hammer and threaten to kill me and my pets and burn my house down. I have stories and upon stories. So
how did you handle that one?
There's
Cops?
two there.
Dog? The second one. The second one. Yeah. The guy with the hammer. What did you do? What?
It is difficult for me coming from it's a difficult childhood, let's say. So I had to put on my scary Amy face and make him sorry he was ever born. So he ran away. My partner at the time was coming home. I had him on the phone, so he's hearing this. Mm-hmm. So my partner went to back me up. So there's two armed individuals making sure that this man understands that he should never ever come back, ever.
Oh my God. People are fucking crazy. And that was because you were a witch? He was mad or something?
Yes.
He felt threatened? How did he find out you were a witch?
I had a bumper sticker on the back of my car. It says witches.
Oh my God, that was it? He just showed up at your house because you had a bumper sticker?
So my house is on the property line between three developments.
Okay.
The previous owner of this house, because it's actually the largest lot in the development. It was the very first house built. It's all the way in the back of a dead-end drive.
Okay.
So the previous owner put in a little pebble pathway through the yard to get from point A to point B, because the development behind us is where the neighborhood pool was. So people were tracking through the yard, killed all the grass, and the guy's like, I might as well just put a path in here because they're going to kill the grass anyway. And that was fine until people started riding dirt bikes and whatnot down that little path and nearly killed a 3-year-old girl on my property.
Fuck.
Yeah. Not only would that be a horrific tragedy, but it would have happened on my land, which meant I'd be responsible even though I was in the house not doing anything. So I said, that is it. I took a 6-foot pry bar and I ripped up all the railroad ties that were lining this little path. They were dug in with rebar. I was motivated that evening.
You're like, motherfucker.
So I ripped it up.
Watch. Yeah.
There is an easement around my property line to get from point A to point B.
Uh-huh.
They were just too lazy to walk the extra 5 feet.
Uh-huh.
So his wife showed up on the front door going, can my kids walk through your yard? You know, because it's my kids and they're special. And no, you can't. This has ruined it for literally everyone. There's a path right there. They can walk through the trees. So he used that as an excuse to show up and threaten to kill me.
People are fucking crazy. That somebody actually said it earlier. Where is it? The entitlement of some dumbass humans. That's fucking nuts, man.
It is.
Oh. So I was having a discussion with some friends not that long ago, and we were talking about our security plans, right? Mm-hmm. I think that most of the people I was talking to, we were all single women who live, I'm the only adult who lives in my house, right? I mean, my daughter's 18, but I'm the only adult who lives here. So we were talking about like, what's your contingency plan? Where do you have your weapons hid? Stuff like that. Wait, let me get rid of this. And also, speaking of which, there's I'm the adult here. She says I'm an adult. She literally just tuned in just to hear me say that. Anyway, so I have timing tonight. Anyway, so we were talking about this, like, where do you have your weapon stash and stuff? And my one friend was like, I got crazy. Like, that's what I have. That's what I have. That's what I will use. That is my default. Somebody shows up in my house, they're getting crazy. Like, wow. Just like, you just scream at them or whatever. Just go insane on them. Show them that Amy face that you were talking about. They're just like, don't fuck with me face. Right?
So one of my favorite stories in the entire world, I had to take a gun away from a ninja in a parking lot.
Please tell me that you're going to use that as a chapter title in the protection and security book.
It's going to be awesome.
Say it again.
I had to take a gun away from a ninja in a parking lot.
Okay. Details. Tell
So
us.
I'm leaving a firehouse in Harford County somewhere, Maryland, leaving a class, and I've got to get across this parking lot, down a hill. There's another parking lot, and there's a little Hyundai Civic parked as far away as I can see in the other parking lot.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I am walking across the first parking lot, sort of getting down the hill. I've got keys in my hand, and there's a large Dodge Ram, like the big super giant one. And there's a gentleman, we'll say, doors open, loud country music. He's sort of leaning against the hood of the truck. I described him as an angry Toby Keith. Because it's honestly, that's probably 3 names in country music I know. So he's leaning up against his truck this way. I've got to get behind him to the Honda Civic. Okay. Well, he's on the driver's side. Fuck it, I'm going to the passenger side. We're gonna avoid this at all costs. Okay, we're gonna go around here. Well, he didn't like that, so he comes around the tail end of the truck to meet me on the passenger side. I'm trying this hey baby shit.
Like a ninja so far is exactly what
No, this guy's not. He's not the ninja. It's okay. We're getting there.
Sonia, right?
Big cowboy boots, tight jeans, big ass hat. And he's gonna confront me. Like, he sees me walking up. I'm obviously heading near him. So he tries this hey baby shit with me. I am 6 feet of Amazon, not gonna take your shit. But he doesn't know that. He sees blonde hair and big tits and is gonna shoot his shot, as the people like to say.
Uh-huh.
So I tell him, not interested. Bam. Let's cut it off at the pass. He keeps coming. Sorry, dude. This is not happening. You can go home. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Like, not happening.
The fuck out of my face.
Oh, yes.
Right?
So he got a little closer, and I had to decide, like, where the line is. And he said he got 1 step closer than I was comfortable with. And I said, back the fuck up. And it startled him enough to, like, his program was like, oh, I don't know what to do with this.
Wait, what? That's the second where you attack. That wait, what? Right in the throat. Or whatever.
That's right.
Oh.
There are so many nerve endings right here. All this, yes. I got my black belt at 21. Like, let's fuck some shit up.
I told you, all Chuck Norris jokes are about Amy Blackthorn.
So he's sort of like, okay, let me make this very clear. This is not happening. I'm getting in that car and I'm driving away. If you want to make this an issue, let's make it an issue.
You want to dance?
Got like Patrick Swayze eyes and shit.
Yeah, right.
So he goes, oh, whoa, okay, that's fine, okay. So he starts to back away, and I turn around, and that's where the fucking ninja has a gun in my face. He was the goddamn distraction. Distraction the whole time. Because what happens when you are provoked, when you're in that excited, what happens is you get tunnel vision.
Right.
So because your adrenaline is up, your muscles are going, do we fight or do we flight? Like, am I running away or am I punching somebody in the throat? Like, tell me what to do and we'll do it. But your vision gets like this, which is why they teach you to always look behind you 180. You're covering all your 360, because that tunnel vision, that's the only way to break it, is to really make sure to look all the way around, because that's where your ninja's hiding.
With a fucking gun.
With a gun in your face. So I have to disarm this person, wearing a fucking ninja outfit, goggles and everything.
Wait. Hold up. I really thought that the ninja was just an adjective, like a label meant to show us that he was sneaky. He was dressed like a ninja?
Dressed like a ninja.
Okay, also Sonia says dollar store Toby was the side bitch for shitty ninja. Okay, all right.
He gets a high five.
I want to talk. He was dressed like a fucking ninja with goggles? Okay.
Because that's where people go for the eyes. If he's got goggles on, you're not scratching his eyes out.
What the fuck were these two up to?
They were going to take me somewhere. This is an abandoned parking lot in the middle of a farm county, out, a half an hour away from the city. Like there's no lights at night. It's the middle of nowhere. So he was standing between the Honda Civic and the car next to it, waiting for me. So obviously, rule number 1 is never let them take you to a second location. You will die.
Right.
Fight, claw, scream, I don't care, bloody murder. Do not go to a second location, ever. So I wasn't going to a second location.
Who was it that said never follow a hippie to a second location? God, who was that?
No idea who that is.
I can't remember. Oh, fuck, that's going to make me crazy now. It's the rule, never follow a hippie to a second location.
That's right.
I'll remember. But evidently it's never anyone. Well, that you don't know.
Right. So I have to figure out how to take a loaded firearm from someone who wants to shoot me in the face or take me to a second location. So we are close enough. In the movies, that's the thing that they get wrong, is if you're close enough to put this firearm on my person, you're close enough for me to take it from you and make you sorry.
Okay.
So I have to take the firearm from this person and make sure that you're now going to be safe. So I grab said firearm. Don't do this at home.
I was like, you did. Okay.
One of the things that we were taught is if you have to struggle with a firearm. Nobody wants that. It's very easy to get shot. Please don't get shot. Is one of the things that one of the drills that we had to do was we had to walk up to the target close enough that you could touch it with your hand and wrap your fingers around the barrel and fire the firearm. So you can induce a type 3 malfunction. So when you see in the movies where the top bit, the slide, moves back and forth and it ejects a casing, you can see that happen on TV. When you're holding that barrel in place, a bullet will leave the end of the firearm, but that's it. It cannot load the next round.
That makes total sense, right? Like, because you're holding the thing that makes that all slide, seamlessly, but you're fucking it up and you're discharging it.
So you're getting it out and away. You're no longer in danger of this thing. Now it's a paperweight.
Which that's still a weapon, but
right,
yeah.
Right. Still a blunt object and could theoretically hurt. So I have to move it away from my person, get it away from him, and then make sure that I can then safely escape. So we wind up on the ground wrestling for this fucking thing, like snarling and scraping, and it at one time feels like it takes a 30th of a second and also 30 years. Kind of like being in quarantine.
I can't believe I'm still wrestling with this person. This is still happening right now.
This is still happening right now.
I have enough time to think the words, this is still fucking happening.
So obviously I got away. I'm still in all one piece. It was very interesting trying to slide on a gravelly ass sidewalk. I'm used to pushing myself away on the floors or the carpets that in the dojo, but having to do this on the gravel for real with someone who has no compulsions, no compunctions about physically hurting you. So it's a fun story now because the only thing I had to show for it was a scrape on my thumb. I had a pirate Band-Aid.
It's only kind of fun. It's very terrifying still hearing it. Like, it's just, oh God. Oh my God. Fuck. I'm so happy that you got out of that because goddamn, who knows who else they've fuck. Okay, so we grab the gun is what you're saying.
You don't do that, but I do that. But yes, in martial arts, one of the first things that they teach you is they teach you to take everything off of a same side grab or an opposite side grab and how to escape from someone actually physically grabbing onto you. And the easy answer to that is you can picture someone grabbing your hand, your arm. This makes this shape, right? Well, if you try to make this shape out of it, you've then broken their grip. I don't care if they're Andre the Giant. The biomechanics of the way joints and bones work is the same for everyone. Mm-hmm. So understanding how to make those shapes with your body is perfect because even if it's a same side grab, you can still use those same defense techniques to retain your firearm on your person.
Oh.
So
my first husband always taught me, so like we used to play fight and stuff, but his thing was like, if somebody grabs you, always break towards the direction of their thumb because their thumb is the weakest point. I never knew that. And once he taught me that, I could beat him every time. But until somebody tells you that, like if somebody has you, if you break towards the direction of the thumb, like if that's like where you put your pressure to get out of it, whether that's up or down, that gets you out of that hold.
Absolutely. Real quick.
Gives you enough time to give him a little jab of the neck. It's my go-to move. I don't know what to say.
That's the thing. When you're fighting for your life, there's no such thing as dirty pulls. Like bite, scratch, grab.
Yeah. This is my daughter. It was her dad that taught me that. And he taught her the same thing. Yeah. Break towards the thumb. Ladies, break towards the thumb. Or men, whoever. We just people need to get out of a grab. Yep.
So that creating that same line, you're breaking towards the thumb.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what you were saying. That makes total sense to me.
Absolutely.
So when is this book coming out?
So this is this fall / probably early winter. It'll be so much fun. I really wanted. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I'm just super excited about this book because I feel like the security part of Amy and the witchy part of Amy finally get to integrate and do a project together.
I'm so excited about it. I think it's amazing. Fuck, I forget what I was going to say. But maybe we could get you out to WitchLab to teach a self-defense and magic class.
Yes.
Like physical and magical defense class.
Absolutely. I love teaching it. It's really fantastic. I've had a lot of people ask for it. So I finally, said, Wiser, hey, let me write this book. I wanted a protection magic book, but Judica is my editor and knows that this has been my life. We've been friends for 10 years, 11 years. So she knew this was my life before I started doing solely magical work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we were actually talking about it and she's like, look, we went to PantheaCon in January 2019. And she's like, I felt safe with you. You know your shit.
Somebody shows up with a gun. We're good. We got Amy Blackthorn. We're good.
Guns, Amy Blackthorn. Let's say there's math that not very many people know. So
Math?
someone, math, math. I hate math. Numbers are, if someone has a knife and they're closer than 21 feet away, you cannot draw your firearm and shoot them with them running as fast as they can. They cannot get to you before you draw and shoot a firearm. So if they're within inside 21 feet, you need to be able to handle your shit. And a gun isn't going to help you. Action is always faster than reaction.
So would that be like a grab roll kind of a thing?
You can absolutely do that.
to get the gun away, to get the knife. I don't know. I think this would be so much fun, and I think that it's something that can save somebody someday.
Yes.
When they're in that horrible situation with fucking Toby Keith and wait. Talk to something over Toby Keith, lesbian straw hats. Yeah, don't do that. We might just beat you up on. No, I'm just kidding.
Everybody needs a new K. There's so many fun things that we can work on and we can actually do. The same thing with you see the movies and people get tied up with big honking ropes and you think, okay, well I can't get out of this heavy rope. I guess I'm just stuck. Absolutely not.
Oh my God. I want to have an in-person class where you just teach us how to get out of all of these things. We're just going to have, we get the list, we get the people who are volunteers and they just get to line up on the wall in all the ways that we tie them up. And then we work down the list of, okay, now this is how we break this one.
Did you ever, it seems like everyone always did this, have the magic exercise where you have to rub your hands together to generate friction, which generates power. That's how you get out of a rope.
What?
So someone says, okay, I'm going to tie your hands. My recommendation is to put your hands out crossed.
Okay.
It gives you a little bit more slack.
So if they give you an option on how your hands are going to be, you give them this.
Yeah, you give them this.
Okay.
Or you can give them this. Your two hands together. Okay.
But not
because,
this. This is bad.
Right, that is bad.
This is victims.
Because they're going to tie it as tight as they can because they figure that way you can't get out.
Right.
So you go from here and you rotate your hands so they're together.
Okay.
Flatten your hands out so your wrists can get as close together as they can.
Okay.
Now stick them out in front of you and do this. And the rope will shimmy off of your wrists.
What? Really? Who wants to get together in the next couple of weeks and try this? It's not a rope fetish thing. It's just
safety.
It's a safety thing. Weirdos. Know what you're all thinking.
Zip ties can be defeated by shoelaces.
Okay. Also.
So regular shoelaces are okay, but if you have the option, if you have the wherewithal, grab some paracord. Go to your local craft store, the little knot tying crafty bits, and go get some paracord. You can also find it really cheap in an Army Navy store. Paracord? Yes, paracord is the string that they use.
Okay.
It's the string they use to hold your parachute together.
Okay.
So it has a tensile strength of 800 to 1,000 pounds. So replace your shoestrings with paracord strings, shoelaces.
Okay.
It's got a tensile strength of 1,000 pounds. So you can feed one of your shoelaces through the loop where your zip ties are.
Okay.
Tie it in and out with this other shoelace. Lean back just a little bit so you can put some pressure on it and bicycle. And the paracord will actually cut through the zip ties.
Before the zip ties cut through your wrists? Because that seems... Really?
1,000 pounds.
Because you're putting the pressure just on the zip ties.
Exactly. It's not on your skin. It's just the zip ties.
Oh my God. Oh boy.
My friend Josh once told me, I'm pretty sure if someone duct taped you and threw you in a trunk, you would come out of the trunk with a duct tape rifle and scotch tape bullets.
And whatever else that motherfucker was unfortunate enough to leave in the trunk, because you're going to MacGyver the shit out of that too.
That's right. We use with what we got.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've often, I do that exercise on a regular basis. It's weird. I don't know why I do it. but I'll be in a room and be like, what would I grab right now if I had to? Like,
Good.
What do I got? It's something I can't help but think about sometimes, because I think about things like in the shower, right? Like, you're so vulnerable. What do I have in here that I could hurt somebody with? You know, like
The extra large size bottle of shampoo that you got on clearance.
right, like the butt of that into somebody's face, like into their nose, kind of, just whatever you got, whatever you can do, right?
Yep.
Get the fuck out of that situation.
People laughed about the Twisted Tea can video that went fabulously viral.
Holy motherfucking shit! That was amazing. That was.
You think about how rigid a closed can is, and it just bust apart, right? But if he had hit that motherfucker with the butt of that can, he wouldn't have got back up.
No, I know that's the thing. It's the butt of it, right? That's what I always think about with the shampoo bottle. Like, I'm not gonna smack them with the side of it. I'm gonna like get like a shoving motion. Right? It's weird. Or a hip replacement. So this is Amani. She has a hip replacement, but there was a like a show model that they gave her to look at before she got it done, and she gave me that show model. That thing is a motherfucking weapon. It's a solid piece of steel with a knob on the end.
It's no joke.
Yeah, I have that in my office in case anybody tries to fuck with me in my office.
So I was injured 17 years ago, horrifically. I wound up with 72 external pins. And a year later, they had to go back and use an Elizaroff fixture. Have you ever seen one?
No, what's that?
It's the process they use for limb lengthening in dwarves.
Okay.
So there's 4 rings, 2 up here and 2 down, closer to the ankle.
Okay.
And in between there is a set of 4 individual pegs with locking mechanisms in between. I call them my clickers because you get 4 turns, makes a full rotation, and they lock in place so you can't accidentally. That was what they wound up using to put my leg back together because it would not heal. There was just gravel in my leg. So I was in a wheelchair for 2.5 years.
Holy fuck, dude.
Oh yeah. I broke both my arms, both my legs, my pelvis, my face.
What age were you?
I'm sorry?
What age were you?
I had just turned 21.
Holy fuck.
Mm-hmm.
What? Was this an accident? Did you say? Like, you don't want to tell me? That's okay.
could have been accident, could have been design. There was some maliciousness, and it was bad. So I broke my nose, I broke my orbital. I talk about the scar on my cheek. I ruptured my sinus cavity from here to here, out of my face. I
didn't even know it was possible.
Yeah. I was awake for them stitching that shit closed. don't recommend that.
No, not great.
No, not a fan. But it's all of these things have also, we'll say, conspired to make me the Chuck Norris that you see before you.
Are the bionic woman. You are Davy Summers.
It took over $1 million to put me back together.
They made you stronger and faster.
I was bionic for a good 6 months. I had a battery implanted in my leg and a spring in my shin. Again, hoping to put my leg back together. The battery they implanted in my leg is about this big, and they had implanted some copper wire at the top and copper wire at the bottom in an attempt to get the bones to grow back together, to stimulate them with electricity to say, okay, well, I guess we'll go back together. It didn't work.
Fuck.
Yeah, so I was bionic for a good bit there. But each of those instances did its own little thing. So I was in that first coven when it happened. They declared me dead on the scene. I was dead, super duper dead. They flew me to the nearest hospital in a helicopter. They brought me back into my body en route in the helicopter. But the coven that I was in Baltimore, and this was in Christiana, Delaware. So it's an hour-ish from point A to point B. And so every member of my coven came and visited, helped with my rehab, emotional, my welfare. I was in the hospital for 6 months. I went from hospital to a rehab facility. It was actually a nursing home, but I could not go home. So they're like, okay, we're going to figure out how to put you back together and get you back on your feet. So I had to relearn to walk. I had to do all of those things. They told me I'd never walk again because I was so broken at that point. But the first probably week, they didn't know if I'd live through the night, and the surgery to put me back together took 12 hours. They got everything sort of mushed back together, and I tell people I'm put together with baling twine and barbed wire.
There's some clay in there too.
Little mush.
Fill in the stuff.
Little spit polish. But I made a miraculous recovery in the first probably week. They didn't think I'd live through the night because obviously they brought me back once. I wasn't really thrilled about having to be there in the first place. They didn't think I'd live. And then they knew I wasn't ever going to walk again. But the amount of recovery in the short amount of time that I was doing it in, the doctor came in one day. He said, I got to ask you, what is the secret? Because there's something going on here. You should not be living, much less have this amount of recovery in a week. And I laughed and I told him I had 500 witches doing spells for me. It was the amount of pain that existed in my realm at that point was so much that someone walking into the room shook my hospital bed enough that I would scream. So going into, I spent 3 years in a trance witchcraft practice school. Like I can go into trance pretty quick.
Right, with that kind of situation, right?
Yes.
Trance is an escape.
Absolutely. So that chant that I learned when I was probably 16, earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, fire my spirit. That is what I would chant because I had to have pin care 5 times a day. So even if walking into a room is scream territory, having nurses come in and scrub each of those pins to make sure I don't get an infection.
Right.
Is enough to make your hair curl. So I dove into it. The hospital is a teaching hospital. So we had 4 nursing rotations that would come in every year. Afternoon, evening, 2 semesters. So I got to teach them pin care. The nurses didn't teach them pin care. I taught them because I have 4 limbs so they can spread out and really get to know the technique.
You're like, okay, come on in here. Get close. Get closer. Come on. Personal. Right in my space. Just do it. Just do the thing.
Yep.
My God, that'd be terrifying having the patient tell you what to do.
Because they're singing. I sing a lot of Indigo Girls songs because nice long hold notes. Lots of chanting, and you gotta make it work. I mean, I was on, the Tuesday after, it happened on a Thursday night / Friday morning. And by Tuesday, I had to be wheeled into surgery to have part of my person removed because it was necrotic.
Oh my God.
So I was on
21 when this happened?
Yep.
Fuck.
So I was on 4 milligrams of morphine every 10 minutes. And it was not enough. It was not enough to abide the screaming or the terror or any of that. Just enough that I don't die from the amount of pain that I'm in. So teaching people trance witchcraft is fulfilling, we'll say.
Very, very near and dear to you.
Yes.
Holy fuck. I'm not exactly sure what my follow-up question is just yet.
That's okay.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for telling us about this. This has got to be difficult to speak about. You know, that's a huge part of your life. So you were 21, and then so when did you went into security after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was in a wheelchair for 2.5 years. Then I was on platform crutches because I broke both my arms and both my legs. I couldn't use regular crutches. I broke my wrist and my elbow.
What are platform crutches?
So picture regular crutches, and they bolt on a platform so that my forearms can lay in there, and I have little steering handles.
Got you.
So all the weight is actually on the forearm and not. It was very interesting because this bone, part of it went out that way and part of it went out that way. So there's pins just literally everywhere. So by the time it was time to use these platform crutches, it was just about the pin that those pins had come out and sort of finding their balance, we'll say.
Holy.
And after I spent 2 years on those, 1 year with the external fixator on my lower left leg, and then a cane for probably 5 years until I was strong enough to walk without the cane. I still limp if I'm tired. Like if you were at a conference and you see me on Friday, I'll be fine. But by Sunday, I'm probably using a cane or have a limp because I've been walking around so much.
Mm-hmm.
But with security, I have some bonuses. Most men in executive protection look like Sealy Booth, you know. They're square haircut and their tie, and they look like a cop. They look like security.
Uh-huh.
I don't look like that. So I can put on a fancy dress and have a gun in my bra and go out to, fancy dinner, and everything's fine because I don't look like I'm part of the security detail.
It's all very James Bondy, right? Mm-hmm. The sexy security. I like that.
There's a company that's named after Athena that's all women in executive protection.
Do they all dress in fancy? Is it like Charlie's Angels?
Some at the time.
I might put that on a platform that's not might not be deserved, but I think it's so cool. I think it's so cool what you do, what you did. You're not in security anymore, right?
Only if someone needs a favor.
Oh, really? So like. We got to call Amy Blackthorn in on this one.
And then people pee their pants and run away. My best friend Kane swears that I know 1 in 10 people globally. It's a lot of people.
I believe that.
The first time I went to Texas, I'm going for the CMA's Samhain in October of 2007. And I've never been to Texas. I don't know anybody in Texas, and figure, okay, my friend used to live there. We're going to go visit her friends, and she wants me to come too. Fucking, I'll go to Texas. So we fly into Houston Hobby. We get picked up in a Jeep by her friend. And we jump in the Jeep and we drive an hour into the middle of freaking nowhere. There's like desert scrub. It's Texas. There's just sand and angry
tumbleweeds.
Tumbleweeds. So we get there, we pull in, we pull up to the registration tent, I jump out and grab my bags, and I hear, Amy! Someone I knew from Baltimore was working the registration tent.
So you got friends.
I know
everywhere. Okay, so we've been on for about an hour and a half. And so if anybody has questions, I will now pay attention to
Thank you, Sonia. I am a goddamn Valkyrie.
She is a goddamn Valkyrie. I'm trying to get my mouse. There we go. Yes. Goddamn Valkyrie. Sonia also says, well, now I just want to meet you. Even if you don't teach us how to be a badass class. Thank you for sharing your story. Sonia, I think you just gave us the name for our class. Writing it down.
Write that down.
How to be a badass with Amy Blackthorn. Oh, fuck yeah, we're doing that. I'm just saying, you know, I will bring you out here for that. So the back, I know you've never been to WitchLab, but the back room of WitchLab is a decently sized thing, and we have it so that we can clear out all of the displays really quickly. So the back room is just open. I will find us some mats and shit we can like put down on the ground. I have people I can install things. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Sky's the limit if we want to do this. It'll be fun.
I teach a 4-hour version of that, so we can probably get it down to 2 hours, or we can do 2 hours over 2 days.
You teach a 4-hour version?
Mm-hmm. Things like what to take with you when you go away. You know, if you're going to stay in a hotel, what should you have in your carry-on? I've already put it in Blackthorn's Protection Magic, but my favorite 2 are Band-Aids and an alarm doorstop, because there's such a thing as a reverse peephole, so that it's a little looks like a loop, looks like a jeweler's loop, and you put it over the window so people can peep into your room.
Oh,
so I use a Band-Aid to put over the little peephole so they can't see into my room.
Wait. So you can put that over a peephole that's existing. You're not changing the peephole. You're just putting it on the one that's there, and then you can look into the room?
If you're in the hallway and you have one of these viewfinders, you can look into every room in the hotel.
Oh, okay.
So I put Band-Aids in my suitcases so I can cover up the peephole.
I am simultaneously horrified and super interested. I know that's wrong. I would never do any, but okay.
There's also looks like you can find them on Amazon. They're probably $15. It looks like a doorstop with a little metal plate on top. It's a door alarm, so if someone tries to open your door, it bumps into the plate and makes 140 decibel shrieking noise. So not only will it wake you up, but it'll wake up half of the town.
Holy fuck. Okay, all right. The poor guy's got the wrong room.
Not for long, you don't.
Shit. Okay. Okay, so we can be an army. Blackthorn's badasses. Get fucking t-shirts made, maybe some bandanas.
I would wear that.
I would wear that too. It's because of all the bondage. I don't know what you're talking about, Sonia. Shut up. We're not gonna. Wait, what did she say? You know what? Damn it. One time I shit you not, a Band-Aid on the eye hole of a hotel room, and I was just like, people are so nasty. Turns out, security measure.
They had their eye out for you.
Amy Blackthorn had that room before you. You're welcome, by the way.
You're welcome.
Super special room. Okay, so did I already say now it's time for questions? Now's the time to ask questions. All right, so
let's ask questions.
Who's got questions? Who wants to know stuff from this woman who knows so many things about burning things for ritual reasons and mixing herbals, and not only dry herbs but also oils? Who's got stuff? They'll take a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little while for things to come through. But man, I have enjoyed talking to you so much. I have enjoyed just being Facebook friends with you, because I swear you make my day better on a regular basis. You're funny, and you're uplifting, and you don't fall into the quagmire of grossness that sometimes happens around our community.
As a matter of fact, you mentioned last week with Sui Generis that you were a phlebotomist.
Oh.
So I get to show you my war wound. Let's see if you could.
Oh no!
So I have the worst veins.
Oh.
I will tell people, like anyone who's in the realm of me with a needle, I'm like, I have the worst veins ever. I made the head of phlebotomy for Christiana Hospital cry. In an 8-day stay, I was stabbed 42 times. Yes, because I have the worst veins. So I went to I give blood every 56 days. I used to have a phobia of needles. Being in the hospital for 6 months will cure you of that. So I donate now that they've changed the rules, so I can donate now. So I donate every 56 days because a whole bunch of people's blood went in to make sure that I'm still on this planet. So I went yesterday because people were being snipey on the internet, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go and go
do some positive.
Do some positive in your community, which I highly recommend everybody find something. So, like, okay, we're gonna do this. I warned them. I warned every person. I warned the receptionist. I have bad veins. Oh, pumpkin. So I finally.
Oh, your heart. Oh.
I get into the chair and she says, "Oh, have you ever had a hard time giving blood?" I'm like, "Yes." This arm is difficult. Do you want anything out of my left arm? You need a machete and a bucket. She of course laughs and she says, "Okay, we're gonna feel your veins." She says, "Oh yeah, I got nothing. I'm gonna hand you off to another person." Good, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She hands me off to the next person, who handles it very blithely that I have bad veins, and it always worries me because I feel like they're not listening.
Right, like they're dismissing you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's fine.
I'm good at this. I've been doing this a long time. My veins don't care how long you've been doing this.
Yeah.
So she inserts the needle. There was no feeling at all, which was fine. I'm like, okay, this is fine. She goes and she puts the little 4 vials and does all the things. And I'm squeezing the little. It was a planet Earth replica in a baggie. I'm like, okay, I'm doing the thing. And she says, "Uh-oh." I'm like, never uh-oh. Uh-oh is a bad word.
Uh-oh?
I am all, because I spend so much time working out and lifting things and punching my body opponent bag, Bob, in the face. Bob. Body opponent bag. My veins produce well. So once you get a needle in there, mm-hmm. I'm done in record time every time. I'm always done before everybody else. I'm a good supplier. Like, it just fills up the bag and I go home. 45 minutes later, they say, "Okay, we're gonna pull this because nothing's happening." They can feel there's a blood clot because she fucked up.
Oh,
and they're like, we're not going to get any. They had every technician in the building come over and try and wiggle it. How about no? How about don't do that?
Oh God!
So the head
the wiggling is what makes me fucking nuts. I've seen that. I've never as a phlebotomist never been a wiggler.
Thank you.
I was decent at my job. I was the person who could get the things that were tough. I was the person who could find the deep rollers, right? Like, I feel deep. Usually I'm like looking off and I'm like, that's it. That's the one. It's right there.
Everyone can feel it, but it's a trick because they're deep and they roll and they're
roll. They roll right the fuck out of the way.
They're like, "Ha, you missed me." So the head of whoever's on duty that night finally says, "We're gonna have to pull this." I'm like, "We wasted my time and all my blood." I'm kind of salty about it. She pulls it out and she pulled the clot out with it. It clotted in the line because she fucked up.
Wow, what does that look like?
Oh, a big wiggly dead thing. She pulled the clot out of my arm.
Bloodworm.
Yes.
All right, we have a question.
Yay! Questions.
Jean wants to know. Thank God there's a question.
She'll stop talking now.
Not that. I don't know where to go after bloodworm. Do you use black salt or hot foot powder in your protection or defense magic? Good question.
Hell yes. Hell yes. I had a friend who worked at the Department of Defense in the Cybercrime Center. And God bless those people because they see things that you will never, ever, ever want to have to see, ever. So she had a woman that worked in her office who Praise Jesus. I mean, it was a giant production. Somebody refilled the coffee. Praise Jesus. It was really obnoxious. So she came to me like, Amy, this woman, I'm just losing it. Please figure out how to get this woman to a better place, a better job, a better something, so she will leave me alone.
Right? Move them up. Move them up and away. Up and away. That's what I always say too, right?
Well, they have their own
Fuck
parking
out of my
provided for them
space.
because it's the DOD and it's a secure facility. I made her some hot foot powder so she could hot foot this woman's car and just get her out of the fucking office.
So for those people who don't know, explain what hot foot powder is.
So hot foot powder is we'll say an activating substance. It's usually comprised of things like chili powder and lots of sulfur. What you want is it to warm the souls of the people who cross over those tracks so they get a hot foot and they move along. Mm-hmm. So if you have really great for shitty neighbors, you just sprinkle some on their porch, they track it through there and they find a new place to live. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. They're like, look, here's a great job waiting for you on the other side of the world. Go there.
Alaska's beautiful.
Black salt is a lot of times use things like lamp black and
what's lamp black?
So when they have, if you ever, the fancy restaurants that have little oil lamps in them, if you turn the flame up a little too high, carbon builds up on the inside of the lamp. So you sweep up the carbon and it's pure carbon at that point. So you can actually use it. That's where the black is. That's what makes it black. So you can use things like iron filings, rust. The lamp black is especially potent. I get goosebumps talking about lamp black. But it's super easy to work. It's really helpful for both protection of people and energies, and it will dispel disquieted spirits. It's very very handy to have on hand. If you don't have someone in your life like Mortellus who will help you with that, you can sprinkle your black salt. I love their whole face.
Oh my God. Mortellus?
Yes.
We could go on a whole tirade about how much I love Mortellus.
Yes. Bye. Do I have to wear black? Which I did the forward for, and I'm very happy to have already.
Oh, you did? That's right. Oh my God, that's so because we just got in, because it just came out, right? So we just got in the shipment of it, and I was going to mention that. Oh my God, you did the forward.
Yes, I did. I love their whole face. I was so overjoyed to get that message saying, "Hey, would you be interested?" Yes, I'd be very interested. I talked to
beautiful soul. Yes.
Yes, they are. It's just.
Yes, having them on the show, having them in my life in general. Okay, I'm not kidding that I am gonna go to her kitchen and just sit there and hang out. Tony says, Mortellus, love them. Also,
yes.
what's your favorite herb that you use?
Yes. But I feel like it's the kind of question like you ask you ask a parent which one is their favorite child.
I gave you 4 choices of oils, by the way. I was super nice.
you were definitely nice.
I was like, which one? Which 4 children do you want to take with you?
If I had to pick one, it would be a tie between dragon's blood and mugwort.
Is dragon's blood an herb?
You talking about, it depends on how loosely you define herb. Like technically chocolate is an herb. I mean, cacao is plant derived and it's so depends on how finicky you want to get.
I like the way you think.
Chocolate is definitely one of my favorite herbs. But this is my mugwort ointment that I use that I make from my garden. And it's green because I don't use dried, I use the fresh. This was made during the new moon in Pisces for 3 days in the crock pot. God, I
want to smell it. Stop smelling things in front of me. It's crazy.
It's so because mugwort, especially fresh mugwort, smells like a sailor's roasted asshole. I
don't think it smells that bad.
I had it steeping in coconut oil, so it has a nice good point, good shelf stability.
Fractionated coconut oil?
Yes.
Okay.
So 3 days under the new moon, harvested at the right time, right hour of the day. It was very important. But my kitchen smelled like swamp ass for 3 days. So this beautiful, incredible ointment is scented with oak moss, lavender, and petitgreen.
It's interesting you bring that one up. That is one I don't have in my collection. That is one I actually don't own any petitgreen. I know, right? I need to fix that.
Right here in my hand, petitgreen.
Show off.
For those of you who don't know, petitgreen is distilled from the leaves of the bitter orange tree. So from the bitter orange tree, you get neroli, you get petitgreen, and you get what am I trying to say?
Bitter orange, right?
Yes, the actual bitter orange fruit.
Yeah.
So petitgreen smells like neroli with a hint of green leaf.
So is petitgreen? That's actually the leaf of the plant.
So you get the sweet bitter orange notes, but with a hint of green grass in it.
I have bitter orange and I have neroli, but I don't have. I feel like I'm missing the trifecta. You know,
you
like
definitely are. Petitgreen. It's much cheaper, and it's so easy to use and easy to work with. It's psychically gentle. And the fabulous part is, for those of you who have tried to price neroli in the past, petitgreen is pennies on the dollar of what the cost of neroli is. And they are both more or less the same magically because they come from the same freaking plant.
Right.
It's just much, much less exorbitant of a price and a little bit more green in the scent notes. Really lovely to work with. I actually have both an entire section on neroli in Botanical Magic.
You do? Also, I read it. I was so happy.
But there's lots of neroli things spread throughout the book. I had fought with my the line editor because she's like, shouldn't this go in the neroli section? No, because I want them to see it as they're going through. Like, find the little gems that are hidden throughout. There's little sayings and little blurbs in each and every one. Like, I opened to Clary Sage, and it says, knowledge is learning something every day. Wisdom is letting go of something every day. So there's little things hidden throughout the book. So if you read it from front to back like a book, you'll learn a lot. But then you can go back and find each individual little note. While we're waiting for fabulous questions, I wanna point this out. Where are you? This is one of my favorite stories. I had to include it in the book. I opened to Bay. Like, that's not basil. That's Bay.
Every time I open the book, I open to Bay.
Isn't it wonderful?
Also, I love that Bay. Your short list of what you start with, you have Bay on there.
There's so many beautiful things that you can do with it, and people don't give it enough credit. They're like, "Oh, I put it in a soup."
Just the leaf, then I take it out.
Yes. One of the most powerful stories relating to love and basil comes from the Decameron. The story goes that Isabetta, a young lady with 3 rich brothers, fell in love with a man named Lorenzo who worked for her family. She started spending time with Lorenzo and their love grew. But when Isabetta's brothers discovered that she had feelings for someone from a lower social class, they took Lorenzo out into the woods and killed him. When the brothers returned, they told Isabetta that Lorenzo had gone away on business, and though sad, she understood and retired to bed. That night, the ghost of Lorenzo visited Isabetta and told her where to find his body. The heartbroken Isabetta fled into the woods to dig up his body, armed only with a small knife. Upon finding the body of her beloved, buried where his ghost had directed her, she was inconsolable. She had fled so quickly that she had no means for which to retrieve his body for a proper burial. In her grief, Isabetta cut off Lorenzo's head with her knife. She carried it back to her home under the cover of darkness and buried it in a pot topped with basils and cried tears of grief. It is said that she cried so unceasingly that her tears were used to water the basil and keep it alive. Sadly, her brothers discovered her grisly token and fled the city, so it was no proof of their evil deed. And the poor Isabetta died from grief. And to this day, basil is associated with lifting the sorrowful and supporting them in their grief.
Basil's one of those things that makes me feel amazing. Like I have 3 squares in my side yard where I grow things, and one of them was a whole fucking 10 by 10 squares just basil. I just want to go out there and just
rub it on my face.
Yeah. Every plant, I do the thing where I'm like, whoop. Every one. It's amazing. Okay, and so we have this. We are botany nerds. Love that. Thank you. Yup. And Jean says, y'all are making me want to make all the bath salts and bath bombs and shower steamers. Oh, that's a whole other fucking book, right? Like the amount you can do with that, bath salts, the steamers, eucalyptus, when you're not feeling so good, you put it down where the shower hits and you just, Okay, so I want to get to more things, but I wanted to talk to you about this real quick. So I had a friend come and ask me to put together an aromatherapy. What are those? The smelling things, right?
Yeah. Nasal cannula, little sniffer.
Yeah. So and so I started reading some information about them and stuff, and I found this article that was talking about making them out of. Okay, so like the little 5 ml dropper top that you have from Black Phoenix, right? That kind of thing. You fill that with salt, like coarse salt, and then you put your oil in it, and then that is your sniffer.
Love it.
I've made a eucalyptus one and a peppermint one, and they're amazing. And they just sit around that. Like you uncap it.
Move on.
Move on.
It was hard for the eucalyptus section to figure out which ones to pick because those of you who don't know, in aromatherapy, there are 420 varieties of eucalyptus that are available for use in aromatherapy. And they each one do their own specific little niche thing. So I had to like drill that out in writing this little notes to the editors. Like, there's just a bunch of them. Like, don't Google this and say I'm wrong because Wikipedia said this.
Yeah, there's the blue mallee, there's the lemon, it's ridiculous how many there are. It's not just eucalyptus. I guess it can be, but depends on where you get it from, right?
Yes, okay. Always.
All right, so Jean wants to know favorite scent combinations for different moods.
I do a bunch of them for different ritual purposes so that my brain is in the right mode when it's time for ritual. All the in my opinion, we'll say all the greatest perfumers have at least some degree of synesthesia. So I can meet a person and know how they're supposed to smell because their smell matches the color of this person. My high priest says it's one of my best gifts is that I know how people are supposed to smell. So my initiation ritual perfume for dedicants is grapefruit and black pepper and neroli. And so it evokes this warm, sweet freshness, like someone has just opened your eyes for the first time. Those are the feelings that we need to carry through with us into our ritual magic. So things like I made a perfume. So when I do classes like this, I always do an example. So when I did my magic oils perfume class, one of the things that I did was I said, okay, I want to create a scent trigger to inspire a certain mood. And this came to me, goodness, probably 7 years ago. I had to go to a family funeral. And we had to go back to my old neighborhood and we had to go to the Catholic church that nobody ever goes to. And my aunt's side of the family had all converted to Calvary Baptists. So they will bring out the cavalry and shoot you. It's, my goodness. My mom wasn't there yet. None of my sisters were even coming. It was one of those like great aunt so-and-so who nobody even met, family obligation. So I'm sitting there in the aisle trying to get this over with as quickly as possible so I can go back to my life. I drove an hour away to go to a funeral for somebody I'd never met. Family obligation. So I'm anxious. I'm waiting for my aunt to start talking about how I'm going to hell because they found out I was a witch at the last family funeral. I'm generally not thrilled to be here.
Fuck.
She made a scene in front of the entire funeral because I was wearing just the cutest little pentacle. It was 2 fairies holding either side. It was very beautiful. It was very sweet. It was not aggressive at all. And she made a scene in front of the family. So I don't want to be here. I'm waiting for my mom. She's running late. And I'm really anxious. So I'm sort of fidgety and I'm waiting for this to be over. Well, mom's not here yet. And the thing starts. Okay. So they're wheeling the casket towards the front of the area. They've got the altar boys and they've got the guy with the censer and they've got some flags. I don't know what the flags are for. I wasn't raised Catholic. And so the body comes by and everyone starts. And I noticed right away, I went from anxious and upset and nervy to I'm ready for ritual now. Like, okay. Like someone flipped a switch in my brain. And it took me a couple seconds to figure out what it was. It was the frankincense and myrrh in the censer that walked by.
What I would have guessed.
Because my first high priestess, when I was 18, she was a recovering Catholic. She owned a witchy store. Her best friend was going to be a Catholic nun. So they had a Catholic and a witch owning this fabulous shop. But the beginning of every single ritual for 6 years was her smoking out the ritual room with frankincense and myrrh to the point where you couldn't see 6 feet across the ritual circle.
Wow.
Every time. And so the minute my brain encountered that frankincense and myrrh, my brain said,
Catholicism is very pagan in nature. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's that same, we use the same sense.
So it flipped that switch in my brain saying, okay, we're ready for ritual now. I was no longer anxious. I was no longer irritated or upset. My brain was in ritual mode, period, end. So once I recognized that was a thing, like this is going to be a whole other book, I'm sure. That's when my brain started figuring out, like, how do we manipulate these triggers for good? How do I, if I'm feeling anxious, how do I change that and use that? So I developed using these scent triggers. So the one that I used for this, for Blackthorn's Botanical Magic was lavender, black pepper, and frankincense. That smelled like a really inviting, uplifting ritual to me. And so those especially, I wanted, the example that I used was I wanted a deeper connection with my spirituality, and that's the oil that resulted from it.
What made you put black pepper in it? Black pepper is such a strong scent. What made you do that? Is it the power?
No, but that does go with it. It's the eloquence and thought.
Oh, the pointedness, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, that makes sense to me.
There's a saying that if you have to walk 1,000 miles before you take that single step, put a black peppercorn underneath in your shoe. And I figure, okay, it's the invigorating processes and all that stuff. The only thing I can figure is I couldn't. Of course, I'd be irritated from having a rock in my shoe.
Piss me off, a peppercorn? What's that bullshit? Oh, so, I get it. Oh, fine. I get it. It's uncomfortable.
But yeah, it's that eloquence in speech. It's the thought and the drive that black pepper gives it.
Yeah, so black pepper is something I use with caution, not for magical things, but because Mandy Aftel seriously said 1 drop of black pepper can ruin a perfume. 1 drop can be amazing, but the extra drop, fuck your whole shit up.
Yep.
Right?
I have made that perfume and completely destroyed a bottle. That's why in the back of the book when I'm talking about materials to work with your scent magic is buy the 2 milliliter bottle, blend in these teeny tiny things, and work up from there, because I don't mind throwing this much oil away. Right. You start talking about ounces and I will cry.
Oh no, it's drops. It's drops. It's yeah. Don't mix big. Yeah. When I teach my coworkers how to, because so recently one of my coworkers came to me and said, I really want to make a Bridget oil. So I said, fuck yeah, let's do that. And so her and I sat down because she is a more of a Bridget devotee than I am. And we sat down and she taught me about Bridget and I taught her about making oils and perfume and how we put them together. And it was just so wonderful to do. And to I don't remember where I started with this with it, but having the knowledge of how to mix things, because you read a book where it's just like, oh, these oils are associated with this deity. And you're like, well, as a perfumer, maybe less of this and so I did the whole thing where I put it all on like, the blotter strips, and I had her do like how's it smell from here? And how's, that's how I design perfume. I literally do. I'll be like, these two, and then maybe a drop back here, maybe 2 drops. So
that's how I tried to teach people to blend their own magical oils in Botanical Magic. So the first, it's like chapter 3, I think, but there's so much depth into trying to figure out how to take these things and put them together and make them smell right, which is why the ritual oil recipes are included, because you can say basil is fabulous for this and it does that, but if you don't give it any context, there's nothing. You don't learn anything at all. So the recipes were sort of an outlier of that. When you look at lemongrass, I just opened randomly to Magic lemongrass. The first recipe in there is a lie detector oil.
I could see that. Right? It illuminates things. It makes things brighter. It puts light on the situation, right?
Yep, that increased awareness brings out the honesty. So I've had cause to use the lie detector oil, and I love giving the 2 milliliter bottles away to friends. Say, use this in ritual and tell me what happens. And I gave one of my best friends, Michael, this lie detector oil. He texted me. I saved the text because it's awesome. He said, your lie detector oil is like that scene in Harry Potter in Ollivander's wand shop, and all the wands start flying off the shelves.
Havoc. It created havoc.
But there's every time there's a recipe, there's what goes into it. There, of course, the Latin, 1000% important.
Always.
But it talks about what magical material association is the reason that it was picked. So lemongrass for honesty and increased awareness, 2 drops of myrrh for protection and compassion, 1 drop of rosemary for confidence and character strength. So you are learning each nuance of that oil and why it occurs and how they blend together. So you learn how to do this for yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to read my book and say, okay, well, now I have to read her next book because I need to learn how to do the thing. I want you to learn and grow as a magical practitioner along next to me, not behind me.
Right. I'm teaching you what I got so you can come up next to me. And then we're going to move forward together.
Exactly.
Self-defense.
And badassness.
And badassery. Okay, Christina has a question. I'd like to know more on when you were telling your story about the transcendental thing that helped you. Sorry. Was hard for me to hear exactly what you said. I assume with the pain. Just curious.
Yes. One of the deepest parts of understanding where you are and who you are is that moment when you're embracing something that there is no escape from. There just isn't. You can't cry, you can't beg, you can't pay your way out. You have to figure out how to move forward without losing your sanity. And it is really difficult to make sure that you can move forward as a whole person. So trance really developed that sense in me that allowed me to put the Amy that is talking to you in a box and bring forth the Amy who is able to embrace that pain, and then she can go and do her other jobs the rest of the time. That disassociation is vitally important to maintaining that sanity. Because when they talk about you can't remember pain because your mind won't let you, that's true and it's not true. It's not that you can't remember it. It's that your brain has sort of put it away in a place that's less threatening. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, you can remember the thoughts you had during it. You can remember the things that you thought during it that you can remember how bad it was because of the associations you made while it was happening, but you can't remember what it actually felt like. Because God fucking no, we don't want this. That would be torture.
That would be torture.
All we have is what we likened it to, right? Sorry,
when you're no, it's no, please. It's funny. I actually wrote something down about this, and this will go to a future project, I'm sure. It's funny what happens when your brain goes into shock. How you can be dying and thinking about the milk you left out on the counter, or the fact that your favorite shirt is now ruined. You never stop to think about actually dying. Your brain won't let you. No light flashing before your eyes, just a pinpoint in time. Meaningless. When you reach that edge of the precipice, you have to divorce that part of yourself. And that's why disassociation is a thing. That's why scrolling on Facebook is a thing. That's why drugs and alcohol are a thing. Being able to separate.
Cut off.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. It's important to understand. Once we go back to living in the world again, I'll teach this in person. But I think when I've made some more peace with it, I'll be able to teach it online. But it's a 2 to 3 year program, depending on how it's taught. My first class was the last class of this in particular instructor teaching on the East Coast. She moved to the West Coast. You have to make a lot of peace with yourself to do this work. And trance work especially, because there's some places that it can take you where it's hard for you to reconcile the person you are. You cannot stay the same person you were when you started the class to end it.
That's the fucking point, though.
That's the fucking point.
Right.
I'm going to put that on a sampler. That's the fucking point.
But that's the fucking point, right?
I'm gonna tell you a story, because that's how I teach. If you haven't noticed.
Just quick side note. Juan Milo Duquette's latest book is literally, he says, this is just stories. I'm going to teach you through stories. And I love it so much. So please, story away.
I love him so much.
Oh.
Judica invited me to dinner with him and Rachel Pollack. And
You're killing me.
He is just the sweetest man.
I'm a fangirl of all of them. Are you kidding me? Rachel Pollack, Judica Eels, Lon Milo Duquette. I'm literally dying. Like,
hand him a Guinness, and we're just sitting around shooting the shit. It was one of the most beautiful nights of my life. I sort of hinted at it, and I'm gonna talk to you about. I'm gonna be real with you.
Go for it.
So in that last contract, the day that I started working at this particular place, my partner, my first day was a trial by fire. We had a dom threat, a death threat, and a suspicious package. On day, I was still in training. It was day one. And my partner, Bill, who has taken me through training, he sees someone walking through the lobby of the installation where we were. He looks at me, like, makes sure that I am eye contact. I am paying attention. He says, "You stay away from him." Very quiet, deadly serious. "You stay away from him." 10-4, gotcha. We are on the same page. He said, "You'll see in working here that there's a different woman every few months, but by the end, they all look the same. They're all beaten down, and they're all shuffling behind him like zombies. Like, you stay away from him." Done. Clear. Understood. He worked in the cafe of the building so that nobody had to go out for lunch, or, you could go in. They would make you pasta on, one of the stations was whatever the pasta of the day is, they make it in front of you. Whatever your sandwich is, they make it in front of you. It's the multi-million-dollar law firms and whatnot in this particular building. He worked in the cafe. I did not know it at the time, but that day I caught his eye. And so for the next 6 months, he was stalking me. He had fantasies built up in his head because that's where they live.
Yep.
And what I noticed was, because I'm trained, this is my actual job. He would, the cafe closed every day at 2:00, or it closed at 1 and they'd clean until 2. So he got off a half an hour before I did. And he would wait that half an hour every day by my car. As close as, or as far as he was comfortable doing that day, hiding in the bushes, waiting and watching and waiting. And it made it very clear, like, this is not a thing. We're not friends. We're not going to be friends. Don't ever speak to me. This is not a thing. Very clear. Until the week after Thanksgiving that year. He says, "Oh, it was a Monday. I came into work." He said, "Oh, yesterday I came into your other job looking for you." Don't do that. I have no interest. This is not a thing. It will never be a thing. Don't ever come here. Not a thing. He says, "Oh, I was going to bring you coffee." Nope. I don't drink coffee. If I needed coffee, my husband would bring me coffee.
I certainly don't need any fucking gifts.
We're not, this is not a thing that's happening. Don't ever come there again. He says, "Well, I was working a second job at Lush in the mall." And he says, "Oh, well, I came in the Disney store." And he doesn't know where I work. He just knows somehow that I worked at the mall. He says, "I came in the Disney store entrance and I couldn't find you. 1, I wasn't working on Sunday. And 2, who the hell knows that it's the Disney store entrance but parents with kids? He doesn't have kids. He's a convicted rapist. He's a convicted child molester. Guess how he knows where the Disney store is?" Say, "This is not happening. I don't want anything from you. I'm not accepting anything from you. Don't ever do this again." And he was so angry. His whole face turned red. And he just started vibrating because he was so angry. I'm like, okay, we're getting the fuck out of here today. I noticed that he had been watching me while I would eat lunch. So I started eating lunch at my desk. Like, out of line of sight, get out of here.
Right.
I went to school on Tuesday and came back on Wednesday, like I do. And he comments that, "You look tired." 1, people are shitty to say, like, don't say that to people.
Don't say that to people. That it's not nice.
No, it's not a compliment.
It doesn't help that they're tired also.
And a little bit of my scary face came out.
Good.
It was definitely good, but at the time it wasn't intentional. And I said, "Yeah, I'm tired. I'm working 2 full-time jobs and going to school full-time, and like, I'm fucking tired." Yeah, like, let me go about my business. Leave me the fuck alone. So I grab a turkey sandwich from the fabulous lady at the end of the bar, and I find the seat that I know where I've already measured out where his line of sight is, so I can eat my lunch without him staring at me with open eyeballs. And I finish, I throw my trash away, and I'm going to go back to my desk. It is noon in a busy building with lawyers and people and whatnot everywhere. It's not a deserted place. And as I'm walking back to my desk, he starts in again with that tired business. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fucking, like, what do you want?" And this is when he explains the way that someone would order a cup of coffee. That because I'm tired, perhaps he can... Content warning. Don't listen. That he can, of course, come to find me at my job and the mall after hours when I'm closing by myself. Kidnap me, rape me, murder me, and leave me on Bethany Beach for some mom with a kid to find.
This?
Oh yeah, like he's ordering a cup of coffee. Explained this to me. In broad daylight, in a room full of people. Did not care. So in writing Blackthorn's Protection Magic, for the first bit that I was writing, it was really hard to write this book. Because I felt like an imposter writing a book on protection magic when I had a stalker try and murder me in my work.
Whoa! Hold up. Full stop here. You're alive. You took a fucking gun from a ninja. You have every right to write this book. You're still here. Sorry. Keep going.
I appreciate you so much right now. It's not easy. But writing about some of the things that I've experienced is not just, you think, oh, okay, it could be cathartic. Catharsis is messy.
Reliving bullshit. It's like getting a hairball out, but it's a fucking horrible spiked hairball.
Yes.
Right.
I would liken it to a bowel resection. Let's just cut this piece out. We don't need that anymore.
But it's not easy.
No. I decided, as a matter of fact, it was the day that I went to Birmingham to get some of the Shirley Temple mead. I had a glass of wine, and it took me an hour and a half to drink this glass of wine and get my nerve up. But I drove to Bethany Beach. I had never been. I had only heard the words uttered to me in a fit of terror. So I had no context for this place. So it's obviously somewhere I wasn't going to go because that's my only context. So at the start of writing Blackthorn's Protection Magic, I decided to go to Bethany Beach and sit on the beach, talk to the beach, hurl shells angrily into the water, taking my fearlessness and my lack of hope. Yes, taking all the things that I wanted to get rid of and hurling them into the ocean. I don't even have a tissue. Wait, I do.
Oh!
I do.
Okay. I usually have tissues around me.
I love you. So I had to take control of that in order to move forward with the book. I had to deal with that just so I could make some headroom in this book.
You had to conquer that motherfucker. Like that's the situation is the motherfucker I'm talking about.
Yes.
You had to conquer that thing.
Because so that happened in November, and I had to swear out the warrant for his arrest. I had to write the warrant. I had to take it in front of a judge and explain why I was writing this warrant. The judge was spectacular, and he's like, I have officers who work for me every day who can't write a warrant like this. Like, good on you.
It's because I can do everything. I'm Amy Blackthorn.
Don't you know who I am? He was arrested, but his mommy has money, so he was released immediately. The court date was set for April. So you have to wait in limbo from November until April. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know which way was up. In April, I had to sit in the little room they set aside for victims, so you don't have to actually look at somebody in the face. Well, he went in and I could hear him, obviously, through the open door. Well, he told the judge every bit of his plan. He was arrested with chloroform in his car. He was arrested with a murder kit in the trunk. This was not a fantasy for him. And he told every bit of this to the judge in open court. And he got 1 year probation. 1 year probation. And I get to live with this for the rest of my life.
So, was there therapy along with that 1 year probation?
There was an evaluation done by a therapist, but no actual sessions were held. Again, his mommy has money. So he got a shiny suit and a fancy lawyer to say, oh no, he's perfectly fine. And because he's white and has money, there is no problem. We'll just have him under house arrest for a while.
Jesus fucking Christ is exactly right. Thank you, Christina. Jesus fucking Christ. What? Also, what? Right? What? What the fuck? What? Holy fuck.
They granted my protection order saying, don't ever come near her, don't look at her, don't send smoke signals in her direction.
Oh, yeah. Legally, you're not allowed to go near her, but we're not going to put you in jail or anything. We're just going to trust that you're not going to go near her with your fucking chloroform and murder kit.
Yep. In Delaware, that protection order lasted...
Total crap.
Total
fucking crap.
That protection order lasted 1 year while he was on probation. They scheduled it for 1 year. Because obviously his intent to murder me will go away, completely dissipate after 1 year.
I mean, it's just a phase.
The day he got off paper, the day he was done, his probation, he got a job at my grocery store.
The grocery store you shop at?
Every day. Or at least back then it was every day. Because he wanted me to know that I could get to him. Or he could get to me.
Right. No, I get the intimidation.
Yeah. The day that they handed down this 1 year probation business, I went into the courts where I was going to be anyway, and I handed them my protection order, the case numbers for court and all this business, and my license to carry a concealed firearm application in triplicate. Like, this motherfucker wants me dead. I'm carrying a gun. And they said,
just so y'all know, I got guns.
Amy has all the guns.
I'm gonna shoot a motherfucker
in the face.
In defense, obviously, totally.
Yes.
Shoot a motherfucker in the face.
And they said, we will see you in 6 months in Delaware to get a concealed carry license for a firearm. Your application process is 6 months back. The background check takes 6 months.
You would think with the hyper quick stuff we have now, you could do that shit in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, I live in a state where you can open carry.
Oh.
So
you're just walking around with like 2 AKs on your back. It's like fucking like Deadpool style. Fuck with me, motherfuckers. Bring it up.
So I was able to openly display a firearm on my person for those 6 months until my concealed carry license came through. It was, it's a felony for me to put a sweater on, but at least I have a gun on me in case this person tries to murder me again. So a lot of times, I get a lot of blowback from pagans in the community who say, oh, well, how can you call yourself a witch and carry a firearm? Like, these two things don't exist in their minds.
Why are they even not? I don't understand how that's the conflicting at all.
I agree. I am on the same page. So once I explain to them why I carry a firearm, why it's important that I have it on me every day, because I cannot plan with him when he's going to show up and jump out of the bushes and go, okay, here's some more chloroform. I don't get that.
Please stop making that funny. That's not okay. Here's some more chloroform. Surprise!
Surprise chloroform. Your band name. It has to be funny, or I'll just curl into a ball and die, and you'll...
Don't do that. Kelly Casey asked, can't you get a restraining order? She did. It lasted a year.
I got 1 year.
It was a year.
In Delaware, for them to renew it, I would have to have had 3 incidents in a 6-month period for them to renew it.
So as long as they're dormant in that year, they can just sit and measure out their duct tape and pour their chloroform into smaller bottles while they're waiting to fuck with you.
So after he got a job at my...
Carries a gun.
I don't think it's for everyone, but I do think that it's important. So he measured it out, just like his duct tape. I would see him twice, and then I wouldn't see him for 7 months. And then I'd see him once, and then I'd see him 2 more times. So that he was I never had 3 incidents in 6 months.
I don't know how, I'm so sorry. I don't know how you deal with having that sort of weird phantom threat hanging out in your background and then just showing up where you work or wherever you're shopping or whatever the fuck, and dude just shows up and it's like, hey bitch, still here, guess what? How do you not kill him? How do you not sneak into his fucking house and kill him?
I love you so much. It
probably shouldn't do it now that I said it on the show. But that's what I'm thinking. Like, you know what? If there's a constant threat to me, I get rid of it. I cut it off at the fucking root.
We live in the corner. If you look at a map where Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania all come together, there's a little circle.
I know
right
that.
So Newark, not Newark. So Newark is right there. Jersey's 13 miles away. Pennsylvania's 8 miles away. And I can throw a rock out my front door and hit Maryland. So what he does is every time he gets caught and gets probation, he gets punished for whatever he's done, he just hops the state line and moves to a different place.
Oh.
So that's why, even after being a convicted rapist, after being a convicted child rapist, he only got a probation for his crime against me because he did it in a different state. They couldn't bring his record into it because that happened in Pennsylvania and we're in Delaware.
Really? With sexual crimes, they can't go state to state?
Mm-hmm. So if you look up the way that...
huge problems with our fucking government.
It gets worse. God. It gets so much worse. In Maryland got sued 12 or 13 years ago by a man who was on the registered sex offenders list in Maryland. But his crime was committed before the creation of the list. So he sued the state of Maryland saying, because my crime occurred before this, you can't put me on the list because it's like retroactively punishing me. And the courts agreed with him. So Maryland has to go through the sex offenders database and remove everyone whose crimes occurred before the creation of the database. It's being fought out in court, in appellate court right now. So they stopped updating the Maryland sex offenders database 13 years ago. So he now lives in a state where he's not registered as a sex offender. Maryland, yeah. The minute he got off paper in Delaware, he moved literally over the line into Maryland.
Holy fuck.
So he's not on Megan's Law website. He's not on the Child Sex Offenders Database website. He's not on any website except Delaware because he used to live here, So I can look him up on Delaware's website.
Oh, mother of fucking hell. Thank you.
So
also, yes, that is fucking repulsive. Holy shit. We are all shocked as a community. We are fucking shocked that this can just keep happening. And yet, at the same time, are we really surprised, ladies? Are we really surprised that the laws aren't in our favor as far as protecting us from fucking psychos? I mean, we can all go on a rant about the things we've seen, right? The fucking abusive bullshit that happens. Oh, how do we bring this show up out of this trend?
We go back to the ninjas.
Well, you did disarm a ninja in a parking lot next to a big old hick who did nothing.
So the bringing it up is anyone can do these things. Anyone can survive. You just have to believe that you can.
Bringing it up is exactly what you should do. Never not bring it up. Always bring it up. Always teach. Always show us what it can be, how to handle it, what we do now, right? And also show that there is community here to back you.
Mm-hmm.
We are here for you. I am ready to do terrible things to this person.
Yay!
We are a force to be reckoned with, right? God, and it's sad because you know that these people are suffering from mental problems, but they are mental problems that infringe on your freedom and happiness and ability to feel not scared
in your own house,
in your own fucking house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things. I'm just gonna run through a bunch of stuff real quick.
I'm gonna open this Prosecco while you're doing that.
Oh my God, I didn't even bring mine out.
It's a teeny tiny bottle. And on my last trip to Longwood, I got these flower syrups. One is orange blossom and one is cherry blossom.
My God. So you're gonna make some syrup Prosecco?
Yes. Which one should I try? The orange blossom or the cherry blossom?
I say orange. I hate cherry things, but also cherry blossom is not the same as cherry cough syrup. So maybe cherry.
Well, I did have the cherry session mead, so we'll go with the orange.
All right. But Alex Coleman says not remotely. Unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about there. Alex, if you want to clarify that. I don't know what the hell we were saying that you responded to. Sometimes we just
off on a tangent.
It's just like a blah blah blah, and people are like, yeah, and I don't know which thing you're yang. But Jean says justice magic. Down with justice magic, man. I mean, come on, think about the idea of justice. We talk about the tarot card justice. It brings things into balance. It gets rid of the things that are bad, right? Well, it balances the things that are bad with the things that are good, and
that's why. So my justice magic class that I teach, which you can find on blackthornsbotanicals.com.
Blackthornsbotanicals.com.
Every penny of teaching that class goes to Black Lives Matter related charities, like the Bail Fund and the Innocence Project, because as much as I've had to deal with the negative side of justice in my life, I want to make sure that justice is available for everyone.
Yes.
There are 3 charities on my website. One is Cry on My Shoulder, which is chocolate, cream, and lavender, and that goes to the Innocence Project and the Bail Fund, the National Bail Fund. There is Hex the Patriarchy, which looks like this.
Hex the Patriarchy!
Every penny, I donate the tins, the labels, the tea, everything. Every penny of that goes to the Anti-Defamation League in the name of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And then I have the very first one is called SSDGM, Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered. And every penny of that goes to End the Backlog, which is a charity that raises money to test rape kits in the warehouses of our states. Orange Blossom.
Orange Blossom. Christina says, fight for the future vote for better candidates that can help us create change. No one can be against fighting for the protection of women and children. Be active, vote, share. Thank you, Christina. Thank you. Not remotely, like the law, like, of course, laws don't actually protect women. That's what you were talking about earlier, right? Like, not remotely. Yeah. Laws don't actually protect women.
No.
And Jean says, Amy, I fucking love you, which I agree with Jean 100%. Amy, I fucking love you. I can't wait until we can hang out together in person. because this will be even better because I won't have to look at myself while I speak because that I want to just talk to you. I don't want to see me. I just want to talk to you.
I just want people to see my altar over my shoulder, like it's glowing in the background, but you can't see it. I have a 4-foot tall Italian porcelain statue of Diana that she is Ferragamo porcelain from Italy from 1933. She was a gift from a museum in Nevada for some work that I did. So I walked into the museum and I fell to my feet.
As you are talking about this, it is right now 11:11 p.m. Bring that out.
So yes, I will post another picture of Diana on my Instagram, Amy Blackthorn author, so you can see her.
Okay. It is 11:11. We should probably wrap things up because we've been on for a very long time, and I've loved and hated so many of the things that you've said tonight, but they were all necessary. I feel like everything that you have said is very important, and I, especially how to get out of duct tape. Get some paratrooper shoelaces, my friends.
Paracord has a number of uses.
Oh my God, Kim says 13 watchers at 11:11. I feel like we did something there, right?
Nice.
Like, that's fucking awesome.
Whole coven right there.
Whole coven right there. All right, so as we go out, Amy, tell the people how they can find you.
You can book into sessions with me. You can check out my books. You can see all that beautiful stuff at amyblackthorn.com. There are all sorts of beautiful things you can see and look and do, and gorgeous pictures that I've taken in different places. And at blackthornsbotanicals.com, you can find my spell candles, like the other side. And this is a Hex of the Patriarchy candle. So this one is vetiver and wheatgrass and all that beautiful stuff. You can find all that at blackthornsbotanicals.com. And come and find me on places like Instagram, which I mentioned. And I have Amy Blackthorn author and Blackthorns Botanicals Facebook pages, so you can find all the goofy memes and stuff that I post there. Lightness and reverie abound. So
she's one of the funnest people to be on social media with. I can tell you that for sure. Every day I check in and it's just like, what's the funny shit? All Amy.
There's got to be a morning after. There's some lightness somewhere.
Don't make me sing. But I'm serious. Like you make my since we've become Facebook friends, you make my online journey so much more positive and full of fun shit, stuff I've never seen. Crazy, awesome. Love you.
My friend Will used to say, other people have Ask Jeeves, we have Ask Amy. So everybody learns when you're friends with Amy.
I feel like between you and Mortellus, I am a better person. You two have risen me into being a more knowledgeable, open, funnier material. I'm stealing material on a regular.
Yes.
Okay, I want to say thank you, Amy. I cannot wait until you and I can be in the same place physically so that we can actually have this conversation over drinks at a fucking table, right? Like, that's the best thing ever.
And the stuff that I can't tell over, in the Facebook.
I know. There's things I can't say over this thing. But there's going to be a time where it's you and me, and all of these people who get to watch this, you don't get to see that, and I'm so sorry. But Amy, someday you and I will sit across from each other at a table, and we will drink, and we will talk, and we will laugh, and we will cry, and we will hug, and it will be amazing.
I love to travel, so I am down for all the things. I will have it
anywhere.
Yes. I will. I joke, but I once drove 6 hours for soup. So
what kind of soup?
Oh my God, it was a lemon chicken it was in Salem. There's a little diner Fountain Place Cafe, and they have a daily soup, and I tipped well enough that they were, every time I go, they freeze whatever's left the day before, so I could pick it up Sunday morning on my way out of town. So I have a bucket of soup, and
you know people everywhere.
I do. So by the time I make the 6-hour drive home, it's thawed, and I can have soup when I get home.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Oh, my friend, I hope you have a wonderful night. I want to thank you for sharing everything that you shared. You are amazing. You are an inspiration. I love you. I do. I don't even know you personally, but I fucking love you.
I'm very... It can be difficult to be vulnerable, and having friends like you makes it so much easier.
Thank you. Aw. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you very soon.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in. You guys are all amazing. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Ah!